fall on me. Say you a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice. We time, you I know how to make me feel right. I can't help how this sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say let's convey. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. Why you blushing? Yeah, sweet concussion. Oh, you miss my touching. You do. Show me something. Give me more than one thing. I need more than less than I do. Say you a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, it feels so nice. I can't help how the sweet talk. I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be late. I'm cutting through all the lanes. Sweet talk, you need to say let's convey. No need for no flowers, babe. I'm already on my way, on my way. We've been dancing all night long, right here with you way too long. Don't want nothing here or now, but I'm done waiting, done wasting my time. Let the sweet talk, I'm already on my way. I'm pulling up, don't be. You'll never feel the way I feel. You don't know if my love is real. Baby, listen to me, here's the deal. When you're not here, I'm not the same. I'm needing a new chapter, babe. Been stuck here in a bed for days. I've been staring at the telephone, cause when you're gone, I miss your face. Late o'clock, body talk. There's no need to bring it up. Nothing you say makes it better. Wrecking ball, tear apart. Issues left behind, restart. Nothing you say makes it better. Hey, bring it right back to me, baby. I know we've been here before. Give me the real this time, no cap, no lies. It's our encore. Bring it right back to me, baby. I know my heart wants more. Give me the good this time, no cap, no lies. It's our encore. I never wanna give you up. I know we've been through way too much, but I'm confident we'll make it through. I'm here for you, you're not by yourself. Late o'clock, body talk. There's no need to bring it up. Nothing you say makes it better.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Let's get things started, shall we? Let's kick the show off in about 60 seconds, but I want to give you a second to like and in particular share today's show. And on today's show, I want to kick things off by telling my story very quickly. 1 year ago today, I nearly died. I want to share with you this morning what I have learned since then, what I have learned in the last year. And I share this freely because I want you to live your best life, your healthiest life. Health is wealth. Also, a smattering of other topics that we must discuss. A lot of local stuff this morning, also some national things and some cultural stuff we got to talk about. All right. This is the last honest place in Cincinnati media. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, brought to you by the good folks at CDM, that's Sin Digital Media. Their mission is real simple: amplify Black voices. We'll get started in 60 seconds. Do the world a favor and share this show, and we'll get started. Don't go anywhere.
DD, that's me. DD, that's me. DD, DD, that's me. DD, You wear a hat, they gon' die. Me, I'm the dad in a hat. You just like clubbing and clothes. Me, I like afternoon naps. 3 happy meals for the road. My oldest like counting racks. My middle one, she's in a dirt bike. My youngest is just like a mama. The mama loves me and I love her, so if she wants something, it's never about her. 3 little ladies, my babies, and 1 on the way. Now I'm stressing my mama. And don't try to play around, don't try to play with them unless you're looking for problems. So don't try to play around, don't try to play with them. My brother's out with the
Ivy Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivy Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
You're listening to the Nathan Ivy Show. One man, one microphone, one mission. Now let's get back to the flow.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. What a beautiful day to be alive. And it's always my pleasure to be with you. Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to the show. Nathan Ivy with you, your friendly neighborhood agent provocateur. Hopefully back to provoke some more thoughts, some critical thinking, which we need more of. We need more of. So yesterday we got a chance to speak with Eve Bolton. I gave you my thoughts. I got a chance to listen back to our conversation since yesterday, and I do have some thoughts. It was quite interesting, to say the least. Very, very interesting. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Last honest place in Cincinnati media, the Nathan Ivy Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And hope you're doing well. Yesterday was a great day, great Tuesday. We had a great show yesterday. Midday Juice with Ask Ashley. I thought she had a very strong, very good show as well. Some juice, boy. Woo, the things that people are dealing with in this world today. Man. And then, of course, last night at 7 p.m., valet service with Fast Pitch, and we're just getting started. If you are a creator or a creative person, if you've ever thought about doing a podcast or a live stream show, perhaps we can work together. I'd love to have that conversation with you. Hit me with a DM and let's talk. Let's talk. If you're someone who has skills, if you're a graphic artist, if you are a videographer, if you're crazy when it comes to editing audio and or video, perhaps we can work together. I've got a few ideas. And of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you have products and services, there's a multitude of ways in which we could work together to enhance your brand. Hit me with a direct message. I'll hit you back today and set up a time that's convenient for you for us to have a chat. All right, 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. It is a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. Great to be alive. Yeah, it was 1 year ago to get today. Like for any of my long-term listeners, you might remember it was a year ago today that it was my wife who put out a Facebook notice or post saying essentially that Nate won't be doing the show today. It was 1 year ago today at about this time, actually, that I was getting a medical procedure to save my life. I share this with you freely because I want you to be your healthiest self. In a nutshell, 1 year ago today, I nearly died. And I want to share with you what I've learned since then. So I'll never forget, it was February 2nd. It was the date of the Super Bowl. I'm not really into the Super Bowl like that, but it was something on the TV. And just started having these incredibly excruciating pains in my chest and emanating straight through my back. Something I never felt before. You know, I've broken bones. This was different. And I didn't know if it was indigestion or gas or something like that. I didn't know what it was. It was just something I had never felt before. It just wouldn't go away. And the fact that it was going through, like straight through, just imagine somebody taking almost like a sword and just going straight through your chest, all the way through your back. And the pain in your back is excruciating as the pain in your front, in your chest. That's kind of what it was like. It wasn't what I thought a heart attack would be like. Like in the movies, they make a heart attack to be like, it's like a shooting pain and you fall over. You know what I'm saying? My situation wasn't like that. Hollywood has miseducated us in a lot of ways, but everybody's different. Some people may have those kind of scenarios where they just drop dead And that could have been me. I had nearly a 100% blockage in one of the arteries leading to my heart, just based upon, wasn't genetics, it was lifestyle. And so I had to do an emergency procedure. And I'm here with you today. Since then, I have completely done a 180 in terms of how I look at food and just what I do on a daily basis for my personal health. And what I've learned, among other things at the top, is that it's true what they say, that you can change your life. It's 100% true. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've been doing. I don't care what your scenario is. I don't care what your weight is. You 100% are in control of your body, and you are 100% in control of your life. You can change things just like that, because I did it. And if I did it, you can do it. I'm no stronger, no different than anybody else out there. I am a human being just like you. And for me, it was easy. It was easy because it's like, junk food and bad lifestyle or death. Junk food, bad lifestyle, death. There's no junk food in the world that I care that much about. There's no food in the world that I care more about than waking up every day and being able to see the sun, falling asleep at night and being able to see the moon, touching my children, being with my wife, being alive. Every day is a great day. I don't give a damn if it's a blizzard outside. The fact that I can see it, the fact that if I wanted to, I could go outside right now and put my hands in what's left of the snow. Is it a miracle? It's an amazing thing. And so I'm a Virgo. So my Virgos out there already know we love us. Virgos love themselves, and we love our world. I love being alive. And so I just got on my JOB. I did a whole lot of research, consulted with the doctors, and just made a decision as to how I want to move forward. And for me, that was changing my diet. So I'm nearly 100% plant-based. My weakness is salmon, and I try to find the best quality of salmon that I can. And I try to eat that sparingly. But in terms of all the other meats, I've completely taken that out of my diet. Almost nearly 100% plant-based. Again, the only meat I really mess with is salmon from time to time. I might mix in some sardines. Again, the best quality I can find every once in a while. And there's nothing wrong with meat. I just made a decision for myself to lead a healthier lifestyle. And then I just put some things in place in terms of, how I do what I do on a regular basis, that led to a healthier lifestyle. It was funny because the wifey was like, "Man, you're losing weight." I'm like, "Really?" I had no idea. I wasn't trying to. I'm just trying to be as healthy as possible. Incorporating, making sure I'm getting some kind of cardiovascular in at least 30 minutes every day, which I'll be honest with you, when the weather changed, it changed my routine, and I don't like it. I haven't been doing it as daily as I was before, and I want to get back to that. I don't mind walking in the snow. I'll be doing it after today's show. Right after today's show, I'll be out. I don't care what the weather is. I'll be out there trying to get it in. And it's just amazing what doing it every day can do to just the way that you feel about yourself. For me, that daily workout is just like, it's like hitting the refresh button in your own mind, right? It's like hitting the refresh button in your own mind. So I know there's people out there that might be struggling with their weight. They might be struggling with some of your food choices. Be better than me. Don't wait until you have to do a lifelong regimen of what I do. I share this over and over again. This is I have to replenish it because you can tell there's not a whole lot in there. But I carry this with me, and along with something else like some nitroglycerin, just in case I get angina, which is chest pains. I'm supposed to take it. Haven't had to take it because I'm doing the right thing. What blew me away is when I was talking with the cardiologist, they told me that within 1 year, a lot of people end up having a second heart attack or dying because they don't follow the doctor's prescription and the doctor's orders. That was mind-blowing to me. And I'm like, life or hot dogs, life or laying around eating some bad food. It's just not even a choice to me. It's a no-brainer. So again, folks, I'm no stronger than anybody else. This is my reality every single day. See that? Oh, that camera quality is top notch. Yeah. So that's every day for me. I put this together typically once a week. And as you can tell, it needs to be replenished. I'll do it later today. But this is my new reality. Be better than me. Be better than me. It can happen to you. Don't think, oh, I used to be top notch hot athlete in high school, because so was I. Catching oops on the fast break, left hand, right hand, it made no difference. Crazy crossovers, jumping out the gym, running all day. That was then. Do an honest assessment of where you. It's my daughter. You gonna come in and say hi? Oh, okay. Good, love you too. Okay, it's little Buddha or medium Buddha. She gets mad when I call her little Buddha because she's a teenager now. But what I'm saying is, you have to be honest. Look at yourself for where you are now, because I'm like a lot of people, and I always saw myself like as my younger self when I was in top-notch condition, top-notch physical condition. I think it's just a very human thing. But be real about where you are. Do an honest assessment about where you are in your health, and cut out the sugar, cut out the dairy. You make a decision about whether you're going to do the meat or not. What I would tell anybody is, you're going to eat meat, eat the absolute best possible 100% grass-fed meat that you can find. It's going to cost you more, but aren't you worth it? It's going to cost you more, but aren't you worth it? Because I think you are worth it. I know I'm worth it. So again, that's what I've learned. I've learned that what they say is true, that if you put thoughts to action and put things in motion, you can completely change your life. You can change your body. You can change your eating habits. It just takes a little bit of willpower. It takes a lot of bit of willpower. So again, if you want to hit me with a DM, I would more than welcome to sit with you, talk to you on the phone, just to share you a little bit of things I put in place. If you think that would be a benefit for you, I'll offer that to any of my listeners, because I want you to be your healthiest self. I want you to be your healthiest self, 100%. Health is wealth. Be healthy, family. Take care of yourself, because it can happen to you. Heart disease is killing a lot of us, taking you out the game. And in a lot of cases, it's the food that you're eating. Not all meat is the same, family. It's not all the same. And, what happens is our brains start craving that sugar. The more fast food and bad food you eat, your body will start to crave it. You got to beat it. You can beat it. You can take control. You are supreme of your body, not your cravings for sugar or for French fries. You'll live without it. There are a lot of alternatives. And then like the plant-based food choices, it's so much different now than it was even 10 years ago. I mean, there is a lot of good products out there. Now, in some cases, you're going to pay for it. In some cases, it's about the same. Eating organic, understanding what that means, understanding, staying away from the GMOs, things like that. You can do it, and you'll live better. What's the sense of being here if you're going to live unhealthy? What's the point? You're messing with the quality of your life. Live your best absolute self. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what your age is. You can put yourself in fantastic shape and live an excellent life. So I share it with you. I said my piece. I wish the best for you on your journey. I know people out there on different levels of the journey, but you are in control. You are in control. I don't want to hear any excuses about, COVID. Listen, we all in quarantine, or some of us are not in quarantine, right? But we're all dealing with the isolation. But be in control. The alcohol, moderation. The marijuana, moderation. Hip hop culture has made smoking marijuana like it's the coolest thing ever. And I get it. I got no problem with it. I think recreationally it should be legal. But do you know what COPD is? You should do some research on that. That's what Snoop Dogg ain't telling you. They ain't rapping about COPD. They're not talking about what that's going to do to your lungs and the health of your body. They're not telling you that. They're just making it all look cool because cats is blazing up with a plume of smoke in the club with beautiful women, and beautiful women love dudes that smoke weed. It sounds good. It looks good in the video. But in real life, you can have some real serious health issues, not the least of which is your blood pressure. You can beat all of that. There's people out there that are on the pre-diabetic side. I guarantee it's your lifestyle. It's amazing the things that you can deal with that people have learned to deal with on a regular basis. They just take it for just the way it is. And it's directly related to their lifestyle, what they're eating, and the kind of movements that they're doing or not doing. You are what you eat. You eat a whole bunch of this fast food, trash, garbage, cheap ass chicken, then you're going to have a trash, garbage, cheap ass chicken body and mind. Okay. You can do it. I know you can. I'm sending you positive vibes right now. So I'm going to touch somebody right now. I know I'm touching somebody. You can do it. I'm no stronger than you are. I'm no different. But when I was faced with my own mortality, I mean, shit, it made shit real easy. Real easy. You know what I'm saying? I got a beautiful wifey and 2 beautiful children. Got too much to live for. All right. And so do you. All right. So I want to say my piece for you again. If you're just tuning in, 1 year ago today, I nearly died. 1 year ago today, at this exact time, I was getting a medical procedure. I was getting a stent placed in my heart where it is to this day. Rushed into the hospital. You could have knocked me over with a feather. When they said 100% blockage, I'm like, you mean like 100? Or you mean like, really more like 59% you're rounding up? 100? Nah, couldn't be. Not me. I used to cross dudes over at the Friars Club. Nah, hell no. That could never be me. It's not me. Nah. Yeah, me. It can happen to you as well. Just like that. But just as easily as you can find yourself in an unhealthy scenario, you can just as easily turn it around. If you can't do anything else, cut out the sugar, cut out the dairy, cut out the sugar, cut out the dairy. If you can't do anything else, cut out the sugar, cut out the dairy, walk 15 minutes a day, and make the number one liquid that you consume be water. Start right there. If you don't do no sit-ups, no push-ups, just start right there and you will see amazing health benefits. Now, if you got alcohol, problem, or, you need to strongly consider that. You need to strongly consider what that means for you in terms of your long-term health, because you can do it. I believe in you. All right, let me go to the choppers this morning. Let me go straight to the choppers and say, what's up? Tracy writes, hi. Hey, good morning to you, Tracy. Ray writes, here. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the choppers. Sharp writes, glad you're still here with us, bringing the daily flows. Oh, me too, man. Brenda writes, happy Wednesday. Fox writes, rise and shine, young stars. Hashtag now. Wait. Too real to live. He writes, Cassandra writes, hey, choppers. What's up, Storm? What's up, Cassandra? Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the choppers. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. Just want to give you a heads up. Brand new podcast is coming soon. It's called Melanin Insights. And I just know you're going to love it. I know you're going to fall in love with it. It's called Melanin Insights, hosted by Britt and Cass. Looking forward to it. They've been working hard behind the scenes. And we're going to release that this month. We're going to make Black History during Black History Month. You may have seen some of the promos out there on Facebook. When you see it, please share it, because I want everybody to get a chance to hear that. Of course, yesterday, you had the Midday Juice podcast. Hold on, let me take that off of there. Yeah, that was some juice. You got to check that out. If you miss it, it's worth your time. Damn. What happened now? And of course, this week we welcome Tiffany Daniels to the family. She hosts Community Connector, and you may see that podcast being boosted on Facebook right now. When you see it, please like and share it. Hit that play button and tell me what you think. Before you go any deeper in the show, of course, yesterday, if you missed it, we got a chance to speak with Otis Wellburn Jr. He was my guest for about 10 minutes yesterday near the end of the show. And I thought it was a good interview. He shared some of what they have to offer in terms of the Wellburn experience, and which is a great segue for us to play the promo. All right. So we'll do our promo spot for our sponsor, and then we'll get straight back to the choppers.
It's that Wellborn experience. It's that Wellborn experience. The Wellborn experience. Experience. It's that Wellborn experience. The Wellborn experience. That Wellborn experience. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you're happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the Wellborn experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head, not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps his own profession, knowing from his this conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Yeah, and just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
Again, that's 513-252-1055. thewellburnexperience.com. You can email Otis and his team at teamwellburn@gmail.com. And there's a link in the description on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Good morning to you. Let's get back into it. All right, let me go to the chat here. Andrielle writes, good morning, Nate and Facebook friends. Good morning to you. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. Hey, good to see you, Sister Iris. Kimberly writes, happy Wednesday, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday to you, Kimberly. April writes, peace and blessings to all. Absolutely. Janice writes, good morning, everyone, and wishing my firstborn, Reverend Dr. Mark Robertson, a happy birthday. Oh, that's great.
Bad decisions get accounted in the algorithm.
Hold on 1 second. Let me turn that down. Jared writes, good morning, hashtag team and I. What's up with you, Jared? Janice writes, Nathan, may God continue to bless you. Well, if by bless you means staying alive and being healthy for these babies, for this beautiful black woman that I'm married to, you damn Skippy. I want to be here as long. I want to be on some Cicely Tyson type time. I need like 90 of these. Give me 90 up on the board. I think she had like 96 years. Psh. But see, I want 96 healthy years. You know what I'm saying? 96 healthy years as a human being these times. Oh, man, it would be amazing. I'm here for all of that. Janice writes, Nathan, may God continue to bless you. Thank you so much. James writes, good morning. But see, you know, I share this over and over again for you. I want you to live your best life. I want you to know that it is possible, that you can transform your life today. You can transform your health today. It is not impossible. It's very possible. You know, people do it. I did it. I'm no different. I'm no stronger. I'm no better. I'm no smarter than anybody else out there. But I was just faced with a life and death situation where, you know, maybe sometimes that's what it takes. I hate to say it, but sometimes that's what it takes. I look back and I wonder, if I did not have that cardiac event, would I have made the changes in my lifestyle? And the answer is probably not, to be honest with you. You know, sometimes it takes these life-defining moments to push us in a direction that we know that we should already be moving in anyway. So I don't want you to have a cardiac arrest. I don't want you to have a 100% blockage. Learn from me. Sometimes you can learn from other people's mistakes. Learn from your boy Nate Ivy's mistakes. Be better to me than me. And if you're telling yourself for 1 second, oh, it ain't gonna happen to me, so was I. It can happen to you, homie. If you look at the black community, we're dealing with a whole lot. But in particular, look at what cardiovascular disease is doing to us. How many people out there know somebody that died of a heart attack and or is dealing with cardiovascular disease? It is real, family. It's super real. And in some cases, people are dealing with genetic predispositions. But in a lot of cases, people are dealing with lifestyle choices. They just stop working out. You know, you working. I get it. You working. You got children in some cases. You got all this pressure. You ain't got time to get in on damn Peloton. You ain't got that time to walk. Walk where? It's cold as fuck outside. I get it. Believe me, I hear you 100%. And comfort food is so comforting, right? It's so comforting. I get it. But you got to ask yourself, how much is them chili cheese conies worth to you? You got to ask yourself, how much is those French fries slathered in ranch sauce and whatever else you put on there? You got to ask yourself, how important is them chicken wings? How important is it to your overall health? And make a decision based upon what's your priority. Let me see. Hey, we see Mr. Wellburn's in the house. Good to see you, brother. Carmelita writes, good morning, Chop Shop. Happy hump day. Absolutely. Otis writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good to see you. Alicia writes, happy hump day. Glad you're still around, Nathan. Did you see the story about the black man that went to the ED with chest pains and they refused to treat him? He had a heart attack and died. I did see that story. That's the other thing I've learned within 1 year is don't take chest pains or any kind of pain lightly. Don't take it lightly. Now, of course, we live in a world where some people don't have health insurance, so they got to make a decision about, or they got a terrible health insurance plan, maybe, right? So you got to make these kind of decisions about whether it's worth it. I say you're worth it. I say you're worth it. You start having chest pains, because I was having chest pains. And I'm like, oh, this is nothing. I'll just do some push-ups one day and I'll be cool. But that's the brain you kind of have, especially if you're coming from like a athletic background. Like if you were super athletic back in high school, back in college, back in your younger years, right? Back in your 20s, and now you in your 40s or 50s or 60s, you're like, man, please. You see yourself as your younger self. And I'm just here to tell you, family, it will change in an instant, And it's something about people that were really athletic too in cardiovascular disease. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of that among people who are former athletes. I don't know what that is. It's exercising the muscle for so many years, and then when you stop to that same level, something happens. Again, I don't have the medical knowledge to speak super articulate on it, but I'm just telling you generally, my thoughts about it. Daryl writes, good morning, Nate the Choppers. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Let me see. April is sending hearts. Hey, good to see you, April. Again, I share this. Be healthy, family. Be healthy. It can happen just like that. Go to your refrigerator day and ask yourself, are you eating healthy? Look at the labels and look at how much sugar, because sugar is a killer. White sugar will kill you. It will kill you. You don't need it. There's so many alternatives out there. Don't let white sugar take you out the game. It ain't that seriously. Diabetes going up, lifestyle. You can change it today, though. Jerome writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Good to see you. David writes, hey, good to see you, brother. Health is the true wealth, 100%. FG writes, so grateful you are still here, Nathan. Me too. I know a beautiful Black woman who is very happy about that. Janice writes, has it been a year? Wow, the time has flown by. I know. I'm like, wow. Now, in a household, we've been counting down, because I looked at, February 2nd, February 3rd is a milestone where I can check and see where I'm at. And I'm very proud of myself. I'm happy to say that I'm in the right direction. This is a lifelong change for me. This is not like something I'm doing for a year or two or until I get my sexy back and all that kind of stuff. For me, this is just the way it is from now on. I'm plant-based for the rest of my life. That's just what it is. I'm never, the only time I'm going to get some white sugar is when it's something that I'm not aware of, or, it's some old, apocalyptic type of ish, and you kind of got to eat what you got to eat. Other than that, it's just not a part of my diet anymore on any levels. You got to make a decision. But I'm telling you, I'm no stronger than you are. I'm no smarter than you are. I'm no better than you are. We all the same. We all tragically flawed humans. Okay. And if I did it, then you can do it. Okay. And you'll see changes in the way you think, the way you feel, and your body. And those things will give you more momentum and encouragement to keep doing what you're doing. And you can live your best life. Like I said, I'm on some Cicely Tyson type stuff. I want to be here till I'm 100. But I want to be healthy. I don't want to be like laying in a nursing home. Or if that's the way it goes, and that's the way it goes. I'm going to fight for every breath of life because it's so precious. But I want to be as healthy as possible. That's just me. Yes, it has. Otis writes, praise God, sir. Absolutely. 100%. April writes, health is wealth. David writes, he has more work to do. Favor on his mission. April writes, praise Yah, Nate. Speak on it. Oh, absolutely. All day, every day. All day, every day. Kathy writes, this is amazing, Nate. I'm so glad you're alive. February is Heart Health Month. Your health is your wealth. That's not lost on me. It certainly is. And it's Black History Month. And my black ass was almost history. So, I mean, this is a big celebration in our household. And I'm going to stay on this path. I mean, this is just what it is. It's what it is. And sure, I get those cravings, not as much. I still get the cravings for like bad food and things like that. It was stronger back then a year ago. It's not as strong now. But yeah, I mean, after years and years and decades of doing a certain thing and you change in 1 year, you're still going to get those cravings. But it's to the point now where like I will feel guilty about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like my guilt feelings outweigh the good feeling I would get from the bad food. So I just stick away from it. Charles writes, Grand Risings, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Charles. Terry writes, good morning. Our health is the most important part of our life. Oh, absolutely. I got a lot of feedback from the conversation yesterday with Eve Bolton. You can check it out. It's on Facebook right now, and check out the conversation. She joined us by phone, and I'm thankful. I appreciate her for coming on. I do know now that those conversations that we were having, that was not my intent, but it touched a lot of people. So it wasn't my intention. I wasn't doing it to try to get attention for the show per se. I was just doing it because it needed to be done. And as a parent, I was outraged and remain outraged by the decision that the CPS board made. And I really was genuinely interested in hearing their thought process. And after talking with nearly all of them, I'm still disappointed in their thought process. I listened back to Eve Bolton, and I feel the same way about Eve Bolton as I did the other members, that they arrived at this decision last year, and that's what they were going to do, be damned. Some of what she had to say just didn't make a whole lot of sense. It really didn't. You know, on one hand, she's talking out both sides of her mouth. So on one hand, she's talking about, I asked her, like, why didn't you do a parent survey late December, early January? And this woman told me that she wouldn't basically trust a survey. You wouldn't trust a parent survey. So I questioned her more. I'm like, so why did the district spend money on POSIP? POSIP is a text-based technology that allows organizations to survey their audience or whatever. I think it's being really a black woman's, some black woman magic is behind it. I know I keep saying it, but I think that's very important. It's a black female that created it. I got hip to POSIP because I'm just plugged into Black excellence. You know, I'm always looking to promote our culture. I'm always looking for guests. And so I'm not sure. I think I was reading Black Enterprise magazine, I think, the online edition. And I came across this article about this black female. This was like last year, who was trying to raise money for something called POSIP. And then all of a sudden I started getting messages from CPS using POSIP. I'm like, oh, okay, smart people. You should be using the latest technology and using innovative ideas to try to connect with your audience. But when I heard Eve Bolton say that, she basically was like, well, you know, what's the point of doing a survey? Because it's not good. It's just intellectually dishonest. So basically her flow was, what's the use in doing a parent survey? Because you're not going to get a chance to capture all the parents. Yeah, but that's not the point, Eve. No survey, no poll is going to capture everybody. You're trying to get the pulse of the community. And so on one hand, she says like, well, surveys, you know, you're not going to get everybody. But then when I asked her, is she influenced by parents who reach out to her? She said, yeah. Now square with me, family, how that makes any sense. So if CPS did a survey, you wouldn't trust that. But if a couple people hit you with an email or see you in the grocery store, oh, you trust that. Makes no sense whatsoever. And so, you know, what I gather from Eve is the same thing I got from everybody else, is that there isn't a lot of science and data behind their decision. I don't care what they say. When you probe them, they keep going back to things that they were told by people who are not epidemiologists. Okay, so that's number one. Just because you're a doctor does not mean you're a doctor of all sciences, just like a lawyer. It's just because you're a lawyer does not mean that you know everything about every facet of the law. You know, you specialize. Not to say they don't have some knowledge, because obviously they do. But if you're a pediatrician, that's not an epidemiologist. They're different. Okay, we know this, school board. You should know this. So probing her, also some really disturbing things came up about how she looks at some of the low income households. You know, she's like, well, you know, it's about it became this BS. Like, you know, well, you know, we made the decision for February 1st for safety. It's on some Trumpian type stuff. You know, that's what Trump would try to do. And wait a minute. Explain this to me again, Eve. So let me get it straight. So the teachers, and again, just disrespecting teachers. I made a point to her yesterday, and I'll make the same point again, that we look at professions differently. Like in our society, when it comes to law enforcement and police officers, we allow them to tell us what's best for their workplace. You know, in our society, we look at police officers and we say, you're the experts. Your life is on the line. So what you say matters. Look at what just happened here with city council. You have members of the community that work with Chris Seelbach to come up with some reforms as it relates to no-knock warrants. And what happened? It went to law and public safety. The law and public safety chair, what did he raise? He raised his concern that the chief of Cincinnati Police had not gotten a chance to give his expertise because why? It affects them. We don't do that with teachers. The school board didn't do that with teachers in this case. Somebody's lying. Okay, so when you talk with the CFT president, Julie Sellers, it's very clear that part of their issue is that the school board didn't really take their thoughts into consideration. When I talked to Eve Bolton, she swore up and down that they did. We had teachers in the stream yesterday who were saying, no, you didn't. That was last year. I believe the teachers in Julie Sellers, just based upon what I've seen so far. If there's anything contrary to that, I'd love to hear it. That's what I believe. So again, there's a big difference between asking teachers and parents what you think, I don't know, in March of 2020 or in September of 2020, and then asking teachers and parents what they think about going back to an in-person model in January of 2021, right? That's a big difference because the circumstances changed. You know, the infection rate went up. Hamilton County went into the purple. Now Hamilton County was in the red. When these surveys were done last year, it wasn't in the red. They weren't in the purple. So when the threat level raises, that might change people's opinion. And Eve Bolton and these people on the school board know that. So I'm disappointed in the bull that they tried to play with us in these games and back and forth. And it's just, I don't know who they think they're talking to. Like we're not intelligent people. Like we didn't go to college and we're not logical and we can't understand what they're saying. It was very disappointing. It was very disappointing just from a common sense standpoint. And then Eve's belief that, you know, we have to go back to school because of safety, because there's children who are in a bad situation in their own home. Okay, where's the data? Show me the numbers. And I had to correct Eve as well. I had to do this with like 3 or 4 of these school board members. These are supposedly intelligent people. And they all came onto this show and tried to tell me and tell you that there are studies out there that have concluded that it's safer for children to be in a school building than for them to be at home. That's a lie. I challenge each and every one of them. That's a straight up lie. And it's intellectually dishonest for you to even say that to me. I take offense to it. I take a great offense to you. I feel like you're trying to insult my intelligence. Oh, well, the studies say that in terms of the community, the safest place is a school building. But those aren't the options we're talking about, Eve Bolton. The choice wasn't to go to Starbucks or go to the schools. The choice is to stay at home and or go to the schools. Now, are there some children that have to go to the YMCA? Sure it is, but what's the number? If we're talking about 2 or 3%, who makes a decision of life and death based upon what supports the minority? 2, 3%, 5%. So if 95% of the children are at home and therefore quarantined and in a safer space due to COVID, why would you make a decision that affects all of them for 2 or 3% of them? That doesn't make any sense. That's not logical, and that's not scientific. I don't care what they say. It makes no sense whatsoever. So what I heard from a lot of them is just a willingness to say and do whatever they want to say based upon what they want to do, period. Real simple. We making this decision because we think it's the best, even though we don't really have any science to support it. We're going to shoot you some shit. And if you don't like it, then so what? That's essentially what I got from all of them. That's it. Write it right down the line. And I've heard from a lot of people that listened to the conversations, and they were equally as outraged and disappointed. As well they should. As well they should be, because it was very, very revealing. And that's the reason why I wanted to do those interviews, so we can reveal who is who, what's what, and that's it. You had school board member Ryan Messer, who admitted that since he made his decision, that he doesn't feel like in some aspects that it was safest. He said he felt like, after he made the decision on, to believe on the 16th, or maybe it was after the 20th of January, that they did a presentation was provided to the school board. And he's like, wait a minute, they're kind of walking back what they said before. Then raise your voice. Ryan Messer, I'm sure he's a great guy, but he seemed unwilling to raise his voice. And then what happened? And then conveniently, the school board meeting was canceled. They were supposed to have a school board meeting on Saturday. All of a sudden, it was canceled. I asked Carolyn Jones, well, why'd you cancel it? Well, this had nothing to do with this. She never answered the question, family. Well, this was just supposed to be, something that had nothing to do with the decision. I think they canceled because of public pressure, because it would have been another opportunity for them to go on the record. It would have been another opportunity, perhaps, for some public input and more scrutiny. Simple as that. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my opinion based on it. So, I think that, to be honest with you, I think we could do a lot better in terms of school board members. Oh, most certainly, no doubt about that. But I already told you, people are outraged right now, but are they going to be outraged in 2 or 3 months? It depends. If COVID-19, if we get ahead of COVID-19, if the infection rate goes down, no, I don't think a lot of the outrage that people are having right now will be there. I had a conversation like last night with a gentleman who has a history of getting in these streets. Got a history of that. And he said that there are some people that are trying to get at him and trying to get him to, organize parents. I love that idea. I love the idea. But the parents, community members are going to have to make a decision as to, how outraged are you? Are you going to be outraged to the point where you're looking at the bigger picture? The bigger picture is creating a grassroots organization that can apply pressure. See, right now, there are no real grassroots organizations that can apply pressure that I know of on the school board. I don't know of any. You might say that the 1%ers in Hyde Park, they put it together. Maybe so. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but if they did, great for them. They came together, they coalesced and got their viewpoint out there. I still stand by what I said. I think that with my own family, I err on the side of caution and safety. Even when afterward, looking back on the decision, some people might say, and I might think to myself, it was unwarranted. I think there's some muscles that you should exercise. And when you're dealing with health and when you're dealing with life and death, exercising the error on the side of caution muscle is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a real good thing, because it comes down to that. So again, I heard the school board members talking about, I'm concerned about the social and emotional well-being. Great. Give me the data. So why are you concerned? What does the data say? We don't have any data. We just know. That's what I got from all of them, because they don't have any data on it. Now, Ben Lindy starts talking about some obscure survey that was done last year that has nothing to do at all. He's just extrapolating that. He's making his own personal conclusions, but it doesn't really have anything to do with a damn thing whatsoever. But we are where we are. It is what it is. From what I've heard, the first day, people had jitters, but there was no sick out, and people are back to work. And it's the Cincinnati way. A lot of Cincinnatians don't really have a backbone for that challenge the status quo type of stuff. They talk it. They might get outraged from time to time, but Cincinnati likes to do things the polite way. And that's what we got from Ryan Messer. Even though Ryan Messer had concerns about health, he was unwilling to really put his foot down with the board. Now, I don't know. Are they scared of who they scared of? They scared of Carolyn Jones. I don't know what they scared of. I don't get it. But something tells me that they're just being polite. These are my colleagues. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Okay. You're the school board member. So what I would say is we need some people that'll be on school board that'll stand up and stand out and will not be afraid to not be friends, and will not be afraid for people on the board themselves, even if it's a superintendent, to not like them and all this kind of stuff. All this likability stuff, we're going to likability ourselves straight into the grave. And we're going to retard our growth as a city until we get people that are fearless and tearless who will stand up, even amongst their colleagues and friends and all, and say what needs to be said, period. And stand on principles. It is what it is. And as for the judge, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there were judges who once said, Dred Scott case, that black people are basically a commodity, a thing. So, I mean, you can open up the law books and the history of judicial decisions and find all kind of wacky decisions out there. I mean, it is what it is. I think that it's the luck of the draw. You drew a Republican judge. Who's to say if it was a Democrat judge that it would have been any different? But I'll tell you, when I watched it and she said, I'm not going to root from the bench, I knew right then, like, oh, this ain't looking good. Who asked you to root from the bench? The lawyer for the CFT never asked that. I'm not going to root from the bench. That's some old Republican talking points. But it is what it is. We are where we are. And you have to make a decision as to what you're going to do about it, or do nothing about it. Let me talk about a local story here. I thought this was quite interesting. Oh, no, you tell me, but it involves Christopher Smitherman, who is the chair of the Law and Public Safety Committee. I brought his name up earlier, so I'll do it again. Last week we talked with Greg Landsman. And I like Greg Landsman. I think that Greg Landsman is sincere in his desire to help this city. Like, I believe that. He seems to be a very sincere guy. Nobody is perfect. But I think that he's sincere in his desire to really want to make Cincinnati a better place. And something amazing happened. Oh, my God, it's amazing. Greg Landsman apologized to Christopher Smitherman. Did you read about this? This is quite interesting. Apparently, this happened during, was it Law and Public Safety Committee yesterday. And what did he apologize for? Well, he apologized for, I guess, things that came out of the text messages. So if you go back to this whole Gang of Five thing, which to me was more of a political and local media contrivance, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember from reading from those text messages was that it was Wendell Young who referred to himself and therefore the five members as the Gang of Five. The other members never absorbed it. Like, I never saw anybody running around with an I am a Gang of Five member t-shirt or anything like that. It was something that Wendell Young said, and then it's catchy. And so, the media picked up on it. And then, some of the opponents of the Democrats, whether it be political or personal opponents, they picked up on it. Christopher Smitherman been riding a Gang of Five like a horse. I mean, every interview, Gang of Five, Gang of Five, Gang of Five. It's like, man, can you get to work doing something rather than talking about some goofy ass Gang of Five? I maintain what I said. I mean, I think you should follow the law. I mean, if that's what the law is, follow the law. But as a tax-paying member of our community, I didn't give a damn. I didn't see anything in it that was like so much of a big deal. You have people like Smitherman and Schreiber that was really trying to make this a big deal for their own political purposes. Because remember, going back then, PG Sittenfield's name was out there. And of course, there's some updates on that as well I want to talk about as well. There's a letter going around for people who support PG Sittenfield. I want to give you my thoughts on it. At the time, and I was looking for this, I thought it was going to be some drama. I was here for all of it. Get the popcorn. Let's watch it. Smitherman versus Sittenfield for mayor. Ooh, that was made for media. I was waiting for it, and I didn't get it, unfortunately. But at that point, there was a lot of talk about it. So it appeared to me, this is my personal belief, that a lot of this was all about politics, trying to throw mud on Sittenfield because you might be running against them. I get it. It's the way politics goes. But most recently, so what came out of that was, and I think this was in the text messages, but it was in the text messages. Mr. Smitherman lost his wife, Pamela, which is very, very sad. Very sad. Lost his wife to cancer, and married to a black woman. I'm married to a black woman who I have children with. They got a bunch of kids together, have a life together, the whole 9 yards. So I'm very empathetic about that. But there was a lot of people, and it wasn't just in the Gang of Five, because I was hearing this from people in the community that was questioning, why at this particular time that her sickness was being played out in the media. And people were saying, like, is he just doing this is he using his wife's death to try to score some points? And apparently there were some people, and I don't know who actually texted it or who was involved, but apparently the Gang of Five or somebody, it was in the text messages. Because, the courts, the judge asked to have all the text messages. It was this big old deal. Then the text messages came out, and we found out that they were texting each other about all kind of stuff. And in some cases, talking about their colleagues, talking about Pastor, talking about Smitherman. And, it was a whole media thing, right? And as a media person, I was here for it. Let's dig into the dirt. Dirt is good for media. Let's do it. It is what it is. A little bit of drama. So apparently somebody, and maybe you can help me. I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Silbach or Sittenfield, if it was Landsman. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody brought this up in the text messages. And apparently, from what I'm reading this morning, Christopher Smitherman has been in his feelings about this ever since. He's been really, really upset. Now, what I will tell you is that there's more to this story that I haven't seen in the headlines. Like I said, I hear things all the time. And for years, I've been hearing things as it relates to Smitherman that, me, I don't get into the personal. If it's reported, then I'll talk about it. Some things that are very, I don't know if it's true or not. But some of that stuff was out there in the text messages as well. But from what I'm reading, it looks like Greg Landsman apologized to Christopher Smitherman for some of those things that were said in the text messages, even though from what I read and what I recall, it wasn't him that was actually texting or saying these things. But, I'm not saying I know Greg Landsman super like that, because I don't. But that seems to be consistent from the impression I get from him. He seems to be the kind of guy that wants to do a good job for the city and doesn't want to get caught up with a whole bunch of nonsense. He seems like that kind of man to me. Okay, you might have a different impression. If so, leave a comment and tell me what you think. But I thought this article was quite interesting. So apparently Greg Landsman took the time to do it publicly amidst the discussion. And Christopher Smitherman, or Mr. Smitherman, said that he was grateful for that. Here's the quote. Landsman said, quote, "I've said it to you privately. Let me say it to you publicly. For what you have gone through, you and your family, is unimaginable, the pain. For me, I've been thinking a lot about it. You and your family have been in my thoughts and prayers. As I've said, I am truly sorry about that all of this happened, and did so in a way that was so hurtful. I wish I could go back in time and change some of that." Smitherman responded, quote, "There was so much information there that my family was in hell. Let me say to you, you are the first member of the Gang of Five, the first member of council involved in this, who has publicly apologized to me." Which I thought was interesting, because even amidst this apology that Landsman is giving, Smitherman is still shooting the shit. This is my opinion about it. Like I said, Greg Landsman has never referred to himself as that. That was Wendell Young. So again, don't define me by what somebody else calls themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's them. If I was one of those members, I'd have a real problem with that. I'm not answering to it or responding to it, because that's not how I refer to myself. Wendell Young said that in a text message. I don't remember any of the other members of council, all of them being Democrats, saying, yeah, let's get some t-shirts. We the new Gang of Five. That's not what happened. So again, I thought it was interesting that even in the apology, Smitherman's right back shooting that ish, talking about, oh yeah, you're the first member of the Gang of Five. Man, will y'all get the fucking work down there and stop talking about these damn text messages and the Gang of Five? Because I don't care. No one cares. It's irrelevant. Stop giving life to this nonsense. I'm a little bit upset about this to Landsman, but if he felt like he needed to apologize, it is what it is. It ain't going to change nothing, but it is what it is. And I thought it was interesting that Smitherman has been holding on to this. And I all I can think is about how I would feel. Number one, losing your life mate, man, I don't even want to spend too much thinking about it, because I might tear up thinking about the wifey. She is so much a part of my life that her not being there is unimaginable to me. However, I'm very clear about mortality with my children. And so if I can be clear about mortality with my children, then I can certainly be clear with mortality with you, and y'all grown. Everybody, including me, is going to die one day. If you live, you die. The people who've gone before us, they've made a transition that every last one of us is going to make. If you live, you die. They are intertwined. There is no way to live and not die. I don't know if I'm not immortal. Certainly, you know that. And you're not immortal. It's a part of this circle of life. Okay. We want to delay it as long as possible, especially when somebody's young. I think his wife, Pamela, the dearly departed, was like 46. That's way too young. Cancer? Y'all got kids? Man, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. But, she made a transition that we're all going to make. I've had death happening in my family in 2020, as you know about it, because I took some time away from the show. And it's a part of life. I tell my children about me, about their mother. Enjoy us while we're here, because anything can happen tomorrow. Anything can happen in an instant. Like literally, we had a very close personal friend of ours, Black female, who was in her late 30s, her mid 30s, who passed away of a heart attack just like that. Literally, I've told you the story. This happened in November. No, it was earlier than that, of last year. This woman, this Black female, this fabulous Black female, was about to go to vacation. She was about to leave the country. Literally, reservations already bought, plane tickets already bought. She was leaving to go somewhere. I don't remember where she was going, but she was leaving the country. And it was the night before. And literally, the way the story goes is she was with a friend of hers. And the friend said that he heard her say, oh my God, wait. And she was gone. Just like that. In her 30s. Life and death are intertwined. And that's why it's so precious to live every single moment to the fullest. Because you ain't got a lot of them. Okay? You don't have a lot of them. So I get it. I get it. It's a real serious thing. And, it's very sad. I mean, I myself has wondered, like, why is this being played out? I was very critical of local media. I think it was, I can't remember which media outlet it was. It was one of the television stations. And it was going back through all this text message thing. I thought it was disrespectful. And they played this video of Christopher Smitherman's now departed wife. At that point, she was very, very ill. And they played these images, like this video of her talking about some stuff that happened in text messages. And I'm thinking to myself, man, listen, if my wife is on her deathbed, I don't give a goddamn about no text messages. I don't care what you say about a text message. And I'm dealing with life and death. That's just my opinion about it. Everybody is different. So it's hard for me to understand why Smitherman cares so much about what somebody said in a text message, and you dealing with the loss of a loved one. I just don't give a damn. I don't care now. You know what I'm saying? And you send me some dumbass text messages. I get all kind of messages. I don't give a damn. I'm going to put it where it needs to be, which is in a trash bin, and keep on moving. But that's how I'm built. It's the Virgo in me. So, I mean, I guess it just affected him differently because it was a very sensitive moment. So hopefully this will lead to a new level of cooperation between, I guess, Mr. Smitherman and Greg Landsman. Hopefully we can put an end to the whole so-called Gang of Five, because if you think about it, there is no Gang of Five, if in fact that's what you want to call it. Because now two of the so-called Gang of Five members have been suspended. They're not even on council. Tamaya Denard has been replaced, right? She's been sentenced. She's not even going to be on council anymore. So why keep up this same old conversation about it? You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand it. I really don't get it. But maybe somebody can educate me on that this morning. But from what I'm reading, Mr. Smith has said, I will just accept your apology. Wait, let me go back here. He writes, there was so much information there that my family was in hell. Let me say to you, you are the first member of the Gang of Five, the first member of council involved in this who has publicly apologized to me. I am a man of faith. I really am. I do my best. I think your comments are the beginning of turning a page with me. I think we are turning a very big page here today for me and my family, my kids, my mother, Barbara Smitherman. I think, again, that's that man's opinion. I don't understand why it's a big deal what somebody said in a text message and you're dealing with life or death. I don't understand it. I wouldn't care. I I wouldn't even remember the shit, be honest with you. I'd be so caught up in my family and other things. In no way am I trying to sneak this. I'm just saying I don't really get why this is such an apology from, I don't understand why apology was necessary. But again, if Greg Landsman as a man felt so, he had to do so, then great, you do what you got to do, Greg. And I don't understand why it was such a big deal. I really don't. Deal with your family. That's what's more important. What some body on city council said about you in a text message that came out because a judge ordered to come out is inconsequential. Who cares? Right? If it ain't true, then what difference does it make? And even if it is true, what difference does it make? You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. So maybe we'll see a better spirit of cooperation now amongst the city council members, and hopefully that'll manifest itself in some equity policy intangibles for our community that means something. I don't know. Let me see. Smithers wrote or said, I am able to say I forgive you. I am thankful you taking this time at this meeting at this day to publicly extend your apology to me and my family for any involvement that you have. The involvement that he had in what? How is Greg Landsman responsible because somebody else sent a text message? I don't get it. I don't understand it. But see, this is some of this Cincinnati politeness, I guess. Again, if it's good for those two gentlemen, it's good for me. But as an observer, and that's what I am because it's news, I still don't get it. I just don't understand it, but it is what it is. Landsman wrote or said, it was a very heated, contentious time. I was thinking about myself in a way that I was frustrated for what I was going through. I didn't take the time to appreciate how severe the suffering you and your family were going through. I'll be forever sorry for that. Again, I think it just speaks to the great nature of Greg Landsman. That's what I think it speaks to. He just seems like a good guy. And, maybe it was something that was weighing heavily on his heart, but one thing had nothing to do with the other, in my opinion. Somebody getting cancer has nothing to do with somebody sending a text message. If they had never said anything in a text message, then his wife still would have been dealing with the cancer. I don't get it. But again, if this leads to a greater cooperation and a greater spirit among our council members, even though Christopher Smitherman is going to be term limited out, he's on the way out in November, then it's all good. And if we can stop talking about the so-called Gang of Five because there is no Gang of Five anymore, that would be even better. I'll be honest with you, as a citizen, they could have did all this stuff behind closed doors. Don't waste the public's time with this nonsense, man. Get to the business of delivering equity, policy, and tangibles for the community, period. That's what they should be doing. All this back and forth, and I'm sorry about something I didn't really do, and all this. Man, that's what free time is for. Y'all wasting the people's time with this nonsense. And you've been wasting the people's time with this nonsense about text messages that ultimately were inconsequential to the real kitchen table issues that people are dealing with every single day. We're in the middle of COVID. People losing businesses. These mofos down here talking about some text messages from 3 years ago. Where's the relevancy? You got businesses closing down, and these folks down here talking about some, I apologize for something I didn't do. Is it just me? I don't think so. I don't get it. But again, if it leads to a greater cooperation and spirit amongst the council, and then they can actually get some done down there and stop whining and crying about some dumb ish that happened 3 years ago. And by dumb ish, I'm talking about this whole text message thing, which what kitchen table issues were at stake in that? What meat and potatoes issues were at stake with that? None. So please stop wasting our time, members of city council, and get down there and deliver. Please. Some damn text messages. Y'all need to stop. I know I'm being harsh, but I'm being real at the same time. I'm being so real. Listen, if you want to share your thoughts this morning, I am here to receive it. 513-873-7134. Again, I give props to Greg Landsman. He seems like, I don't know him personally like that. Okay. But when I'm around him, when I've had conversations with him, the energy I get from him is that he is a good guy trying to do the right thing as a public servant. That's what I get from him. Do I agree with every decision? I'm sure I could comb through some decisions and think, you know what? I disagree with you. I think you were wrong. But as a man, as a human being, he seems to have a good spirit. I think that's what I got from this story. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully this will lead to a better sense of cooperation. And, you know, whatever that means. Hopefully it'll be something good for our community. And again, Landsman has an opportunity to be reelected in November. Mr. Smitherman is going to be term limited out. So he's not even going to be on city council in 9 months. Or really, I think we're going to get sworn in January. So he'll be out in about 11 months. Okay. So again, hopefully this will give Mr. Smitherman something. I'm not sure what that is. Hopefully he'll feel as if, you know, he can turn the page now. Sittenfield is no longer on city council. Silbach is running for mayor, but he's going to be term limited out. Tamaya Denard is no longer on city council. Mr. Wendell Young is on council, but he is running for mayor as well. He's going to be term limited out. So again, you know, we deserve people that's not going to get caught up with a whole bunch of dump ish, running around trying to settle points and score points and got a bone to pick with you because a text message. It sounds like some high school ish. You said something about me in a text message. This is some straight up high school kind of ish. And meanwhile, people are losing their jobs in the city of Cincinnati. Meanwhile, the mighty bulldozers of gentrification are still real. Meanwhile, we have a pandemic going on. But I'm glad to see that these two grown men have come to some kind of agreement about some text messages. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Morning, Nathan. It's Kev on the cell. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. Welcome.
So, two things. First off, I looked up that statistic. I actually posted it while you were speaking. The district poverty rate is about 38%, so not 2 or 3. I don't still think that it still does not make sense to put people, you know, at risk because of those underserved students, because that still doesn't make sense. So now you're able to come to the school to get food, and perhaps, I don't know, you know, there are statistics about violence in homes and things like that are helped by being in the school environment, and all of those things are great, but you're not hungry, but you're sick. Well, if you're in a poor household, being sick is worse than being hungry, and the school district has no funds for health care. So, you know, you're not necessarily putting it, that right there is a false equivalency all in and of itself. So, but to be fair, you know, it's not 2 or 3%, you know, district wide. Now, of course, you know, I forget how big, it's like 54 schools, and I can't remember. I think it's like 18 counties or something ridiculous in the Cincinnati metro, and CPS serves that wide swath of people.
But Kev,
you know what I mean?
Can I say one thing, brother? I don't want to interrupt your flow, but when I was saying 2 or 3%, the problem I had with Eve is just because you grow up in a so-called low income household does not mean that household isn't a positive, nurturing place. That's number one. And so what Eve was saying yesterday is she feels as if there are children who are at home, and because of a bad home life, it would be better, even during a pandemic, for them to go to school every day. So when I say 2 to 3%, I'm talking about those people she was speaking of. There are no numbers because I've asked for them. What are the numbers of the children who are at risk at home, where home is such a threatening environment that them going to school is a reprieve? I don't know what those numbers are, because I don't believe it's 38%. I don't believe that just because you don't have a lot of money that you can't provide a positive home life, a nurturing home life. You just don't have a lot of money. It doesn't mean you can't have a positive home life for your children.
But as any organization, you can only use the numbers that you have. And so, yeah, they probably do use the aggregated data of that 38% as justification as to why they're doing what they're doing. Because in the absence of, no one's coming out there and saying, we did a survey and 36% of households said they beat their children. That's not going to happen, man. So, we have to be fair when you look at these things. And part of it is probably, again, a false equivalency of, 38% of poverty means 38% of people who are not able to, quote unquote, fend for themselves in some manner. I tried, like I said before, I'm trying to be fair about it as to why you would say what you're saying. But that still leaves 62% of households, number one, that would not be at the poverty rate. So you would say, well, that's 2/3, right? So if 2/3 are not at risk, you still got to justify for me why, or even better yet, 3/5. If 3/5 are not at risk, then you got to better justify for me why you're putting my child at risk, right? And again, I do have to say this as a disclaimer. My child is not in Cincinnati Public. I live in the Cincinnati Public School District, but my child does not go to Cincinnati Public Schools. The other thing, though, that and this is more important to me because I feel like, that back there with the Gang of Five and all that crap, it started out with some email messages. But them folks told that man, or said that man was lying about his wife's condition. They said it on the news. There were people discussing that. We don't even know if she's really that sick. And then she passed away from cancer. Yeah, I'm going to take that apology, and I'll take it in the public the same way you gave that, y'all. And I'll say that because I don't know that Greg literally said that, but he was associated with those comments on different news media and different outlets, said that I might be faking my wife's illness for quality points or something because I'm running for an office or something like that. That's great, man. Yeah, apologize to me because quietly, if I see you in the street, I'll still be mad at you. You might square up. I don't even know. Say that kind of stupidness about my wife and she's in the midst of passing away. Yeah, I'll take that apology every time, Nate. And that's just me being a man. I ain't gonna lie, that's rude and kind of unconscionable to say something like that. Period. Like I wouldn't care if you was pretending. I don't care if you playing about it. If I tell you that my wife is sick or ill and that she's going through some things, man, and you turn around and say to me, man, you're probably faking. We gonna have some issues. I'm gonna have some beef on that. I am. I ain't gonna lie. So I don't think it's about the text messages that started it. Because I agree with you, all of that was foolishness and stupidness and didn't make much of any sense. I definitely don't think it was worth wasting taxpayers' money on it for going to court and spending millions of dollars and all of that. The message didn't mean that much. They weren't worth millions of dollars. So but for the comments afterwards, for the stuff that was in the press releases, for the stuff that was said, as if we were in another platform down the dial and all of that stuff, yeah, okay. I'll take my apology.
But Kev, let me make sure. So as I understand it, and again, I'm not saying maybe there's people out there that got way more insight than I do, but as I understand it, that might have been out there. But I think that what was in the text messages was the implication that Mr. Smitherman was using his wife's cancer diagnosis and her death for political gains. Not that he was making it up, but that it was true and that he was using it to try to get sympathy in a community and also to gain momentum or sympathy for any political runs he might make. I think that's what was said.
It was both, and then that's it. There was some indication that they were saying he was playing it up, that she wasn't that ill.
And I heard that from people that weren't in the Gang of Five. I heard that from people in the community who was just like, "Are you paying attention to this?" So it wasn't just the so-called Gang of Five that was saying that. It was other folks that were thinking the same thing. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not here to say that. I'm just saying that's the information that I had.
I seem to recall, and I can't speak 100% to it because, like you said, it's been 3 years ago. It's been a while ago. I seem to recall that members of I ain't gonna use that term because I think it's a stupid term. It was always a stupid term. It was something that somebody said in order to make an association of how strong and brave and and ain't none of that really played out. So I don't really think Gang of Five is really working for anybody right now. But the folks within that group, right, of people, had made those comments, and for Mr. Landsman to come out and publicly apologize is huge. And if I was as a man, just as a man, you know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about as no politician. I'm not talking about as a person who's thinking about the situation of this Cincinnati's in currently. I'm not thinking about any of all that. I'm thinking about as a man. Big ups to a dude that just flat out say, hey man, I made a mistake and we shouldn't have probably talked about you like that, and my bad. Yep, I take that every time, man. And I took it in the public square if that's where you put it to begin with.
But
because it was not just in
it wasn't, but that's what I'm saying. It wasn't in the public square. That was in text messages.
It wasn't just in the text messages. It was. That's what I keep saying to you, though, bro. It wasn't just in the text messages. It was in the text messages, but then when it got made public, there were interviews about that stuff. I remember it, and folks were, he's just probably playing it up for political
interviews with
that
who, Kev? I don't remember any interviews where members of city council did an interview with the public, and they said in that interview that they were questioning, Christopher Smitherman's motives around his wife dying. I don't remember any interviews like that. Can you send me a link?
So I can't, and I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, it's been 3 years, and I seem to recall. I've said unequivocally that I cannot at all give you fact on this. If I could, I would. There ain't no question. But I do seem to recall. Now, I do follow media. You know what I'm saying, for talk shows and things like that, like up and down the dial, right? You know what we mean by that. So I don't have to justify what that means. And I do remember there being some, and I don't know if, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if it was on a Lincoln Ware show, a Willie Cunningham show, or Emmanuel Livingston show, or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know whose show. So I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But I do recall there being additional conversation that was not just that email that happened at that time. I do believe I recall that. And I would say if I were Greg Landsman, who I believe, like you do, is a pretty decent stand-up guy, whatever that means. As a community council leader, there was several times I went to Greg and it was quick. His turnaround was not about nobody saw anything. You know what I mean? It was just between me and him, and hey, will you meet me X, Y, and Z? Yeah, I'll be there. That's cool. That's what I like. You know what I mean? And it wasn't about showing off for anybody or showing off for the camera. It's just about getting work done. So, I do think as a man, again, I'll keep saying it as a man, that if I had something to do with that, or I felt some kind of way about it, publicly saying, hey, you know what, my bad, bro. That's good look. That's a good look for any man that does that. That's some stand-up stuff to do. And if I was the person who felt wronged, I'd appreciate you saying it too. And I'd probably do that in public, man. I would. But that's just me. I'm just that guy, I guess. Hey, great show as always, Nathan. Loving the flows. At least we getting some information outside of, and I don't believe in that mainstream media stuff, but outside of just the current stream, right? And that's always good. So thanks for what you do, bro.
Hey, bro, thanks for the flows. I appreciate it, man. That's Kev on the sale. Kev on the sale says, listen, man, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take the apology when it comes in. Cool. Like I said, I think it says good things about Greg Landsman. I think it says good things about who he is as a man, that he feels like, even though he didn't text it or say it, that he feels like he wants to apologize. And I hope we don't have to hear about this no more, quite honestly. If any, there needs to be some more apologies, because I remember that it was local media. I think it was Fox, and he did this deathbed interview with Pamela Smitherman. It was playing these audio. Remember that? I wouldn't even play it on the show because I felt like it was disrespectful. And but we talked about it though, and I'm like, they need to be apologizing too. For trying to use the death of this woman and her condition for ratings and or to score some kind of political points. Now that's just my opinion about it, but that's not my decision. It's not my business. But like I said, I've heard all kinds of things about that scenario and things that have yet to really hit the media. I don't know if they ever will. And it makes me wonder if some of these things I've heard isn't impacting some of the things I'm seeing. as it relates to Mr. Smitherman and some folks involved. I don't know. But again, you know me, man, I don't really get into personal business unless it gets out there. Once it's out there, then I may speak on it. Other than that, it's up to the individuals to deal with their own personal scenarios. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. I hope that this is the end of, I don't even want to hear the term Gang of Five no more. I don't want to hear nobody on city council use the phrase text messages or the words text messages. What I want to hear is equity, policy, and tangibles. Get busy making this city a better place for everybody. Get busy dealing with the kitchen table issues that really matter. So hopefully after this apology, Mr. Sittenfeld is no longer on city council anymore. Mr. Silbach won't be on city council after November or after this year. They're going to be term limited out. Can they salvage? Can the members of city council who's going to be term limited out? Can they salvage the rest of this year and get something done for the people, please? And stop this nonsense about inconsequential things. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this will lead to a better day, a better atmosphere on city council. We shall see. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Nathan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good morning.
Good morning. That's wonderful to hear. It was very touching, inspiring. The top of the show, listening to your testimony about what has transpired over the past year. I was touched by that. That's pretty much all I'll say about that. Because in the next moment, you literally disappoint me and leave me disgusted yet again. You keep trying to put these jackass Gang of Five people as victim of circumstances. All five of them are assholes. Stop mincing words. They're all assholes. They're up there. I'm actually disgusted that I actually agree somewhat with Kev on the cell. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was some type of stuff about saying stuff about Smitherman's wife and using it for political gain and whatnot. If I'm not mistaken, to quote him, I seem to recall that as well.
Those are facts. I said that.
But you're trying to point these people as they insulted a black family. But that's okay with you because it's political, because it's a Republican or a non-Democrat black family. How dare them try to suggest that Christopher Smitherman is running for mayor under false pretenses?
That was not what they said.
Insulting our brother. And if I'm Christopher Smitherman, I'm going to keep hitting you with that too. Yeah, you the first member of the Gang of Five to reach out. I appreciate that. To just remind the city that this man, Mr. Landsman, shitted on my wife while she was terminally ill. I'm going to always remind you of that. So I don't understand why you keep trying to paint them as if they've done nothing wrong in all of this. And Landsman's the guy, who probably knew Tamira was going down. Remember with the $1,000, he went to the solicitor and said, "Am I allowed to do this?"
He did the right thing.
He did the right thing because he knew what was going down. He knew she was about to go down. He knew her days were numbered.
Or he was trying to help a sister out.
So you saying that there's white men that actually care about black women? I don't see that.
Grant Landsman tried to help a sister out, like I just said. She came to him for some money. I don't see that. We now know that she needed money, was in bad financial situation. He tried to help her out. He did help her out. If you're trying to help, goddamn, keep the receipt. I don't know what you mean by that.
I need you. He put her business all in the street by making it a public issue.
He didn't put it out until it became a public issue.
Right. By going to the city solicitor via email, He made it a public issue.
It didn't come out until
When
it was
she-
already out in the media. That story didn't come out first. That story came out after.
It doesn't
we found
matter
out
when
that
the
she
story
was being
came out.
indicted by the feds. That's when it came out.
The fact that an elected official emailed another publicly and paid employee about another elected official's business, it's now public because
the right
it's
thing.
public record. Once again, you're having trouble understanding that record of that concept of public records.
No, I understand it, but I don't think it's anything negative. Greg Landsman, as a council member in that scenario, did exactly what he was supposed to do, including the emails. So there's a paper trail to cover his own ass in case something happens. If you're in that situation,
Cover his
that's what
own
you
white
should do.
ass and then put our sister out. Put our sister.
He didn't put her out in no way whatsoever. What are you talking about? Brother Fam, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you for a minute.
Can you?
I hear you now, though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. The fact that he emailed on company time, company email network or whatever, that makes it public. It's just a matter of when it gets discovered.
He's a publicly elected official. That's what he was supposed
Exactly.
to do. What he
I
did
guarantee
is what
you,
he
she
was
didn't want
supposed
him.
to do.
She didn't want him doing that. I guarantee you, she would prefer that he went over there and asked
It don't
as
matter
to
what
putting
she
it
preferred.
public by
It don't matter.
emailing. Exactly.
She wanted
Because
the
he was
cash.
trying to embarrass her.
She asked
He knew
Greg
it was going
Landsman for
down.
the cash. He gave her the cash.
He set up.
As a publicly
He
elected
set up the
official,
paperwork
he should have done that to cover his own ass in case something
To
went
cover-
wrong. He did the right
to
thing.
cover his own ass. Exactly.
Yeah.
And to set her up for failure.
He did not set her up for failure whatsoever. The person that set her up
Okay,
for failure
well-
was the developer who
I'm
said,
not here to-
yeah, I'm gonna give you this money, and then it went talk to the feds. That's who set her up, not Greg Landsman.
Okay, this is the Nathan Ivy show where he tries to amplify black voices. I'm not here to defend white men. I'll let you have that one. Okay.
I defend the truth, brother. Black,
also-
white, green, or whatever.
I absolutely no doubt. I'm just saying I have a problem. I also have a problem with Christopher Smitherman. Don't be magnanimous to these people. Tell him to fuck off. You insulted my wife, Landsman. Go to hell. Your apology ain't accepted. That was some Barack reaching across the aisle stuff. You know, as my OG likes to say, Chris, nobody would have cared if you were politically petty in that moment. We would have gotten it.
Except for the taxpayers.
You
and the
tell
voters.
Jalen. Say what?
I said except for the voters and the taxpayers. Like I said, he didn't get
The
voted
white,
to be
the white
politically
ones,
petty.
the black people would have understood.
No,
The black people would have
I'm black and I
understood.
don't understand it. It sounds like some high
What?
school ish to me about he said, she said, and all this other. Man, get down there and get the work, and leave all that stuff
Exactly.
outside of the council chambers, and get down there and deliver for the kitchen table for the real issues that people care about.
We can deliver from the kitchen table. I don't need you trying to clear your name as you're about to be term limited out, Greg Landsman. Just go on.
And I don't need
You
an
understand?
apology
And before-
either way about an issue that happened 3 years ago that was inconsequential. The whole thing was a waste of time. That's what I've been saying since day one.
It was not a waste of time. We showed that we have a shadow government in the city of Cincinnati. That's what was discovered. Again, let's not mince words. These are not victims of circumstance. They are complete, grown, unabridged, unfiltered, unconscionable assholes. All 5 of them. Because they willingly participated.
Right. In
Okay,
sending
and
text
before I
messages.
go, that's fine. Hey, I want to send a shout out to the local NAACP president, TNT. Monday when I was on with you, I couldn't see the conversation. While I'm talking with you, she said, "Hey, Fame, it was a full moon this weekend. What was you doing?" You know what I did, TNT? I was out doing wolf shit. You know, the sky was bright. And, I was a little extra pillaging, extra rummaging, and I felt great. Me and the old middle, we had a great time, TNT. You're more than welcome to join. I'll holler, Nathan. Oh!
Appreciate the call. That's fame. Doing some wolf shit, huh? Cool. Great. But back to what we were saying, I mean, I've been very consistent about it. I thought it was a waste of time. And hopefully this apology from Greg Landsman to Smitherman will put an end to it. It was a waste of time. It was some schoolyard-ish. Talking about who said what on text messages. I don't give a damn. Especially if I'm losing my wife, you think I'm not even going to hear it, quite honestly. I'm not even going to hear it. I'm losing somebody close to me. You think I give a damn about what somebody said in a text message? You got to be joking. If I had an issue with it, I would deal with it face to face as a man and tell you to your face and move on and do the job. But to be holding on to it for years and years because somebody said something that other people in the community were saying as well, again, we all different. But don't try to legitimize this sophomoric behavior. We elected these grown people to be grown people. If you had a tragedy in your life and it impacts you to the point where you feel like you can't do your job, then step down. Right. See you later, son. Family. Look at my boy is growing nicely. Yeah, I mean, if you feel that, if and again, I get it. Like if you have something tragic in your family, you got to step away from counsel because you can't do your job and you caught in your feelings. I completely understand. Step away. But if you stay, then act like an adult and do the people's business and stop talking about some nonsense that somebody said in a text message. You're 50 years old. You're 50 years old. Running around talking about what somebody said in a text message. I wouldn't give a damn because I'd be taking care of my family. I wouldn't even hear it. It would wash off my back like water. And when I catch up to you, I want to say something to you face to face. I'll catch you somewhere face to face and tell you. But I wouldn't use the people's time, right, to go after somebody over and over again because they said something on a text message. People say all kind of stuff on text messages. So what? Get to work. So hopefully we're going to see a brighter spirit or a better spirit of cooperation, a brighter atmosphere on city council, and they can get down there and get something done. Okay. So the apology's been made, apology's been accepted, and let's move on. Let's move on. And I'm disappointed in you, Fame, for legitimizing this bad behavior. The people did not elect for you to come down to city council and represent us sitting around talking about text messages for 3 years. I don't care what was said. I don't care what the circumstances is. It don't really matter. That's not why you were elected. You were not elected to spend all your time caught in your feelings. I don't care what happens. It does not matter. Your job is to deliver those equity policy intangibles. That's what your job is. If you can't do your job, then step away, let somebody else come in until you can come back and be in a better situation, which everybody would have understood. It would have understood it. And you're talking about shadow government. What makes you think that the shadow government still isn't in place? Y'all better wake up. You better wake up, brother. The shadow government's still in place. It's still there. Oh, y'all think because Sittenfield isn't there and Pastor isn't there and Tamai Donardi, you think that was the end of the shadow government? You are sadly mistaken. You are very sadly mistaken. The game still goes on. It's going on right now. Don't get it twisted. Please stop. Please, can we be grown, folks? It's a Wednesday. Can we be grown on Wednesday? Can we be grown on Wednesday? I'm very empathetic because I got a beautiful woman. Beautiful wife who I've been with for 20 plus years. We got 2 children together. We have a life together. Like I said, I don't want to dwell on it too much because I'm gonna tear up. You don't want me tearing up here on the show. But so I get it, but no. Let's get to work. Let's get to work out here. Good morning to you, Terry. Man, I sympathize with the teachers. I got many messages from teachers. It was giving me the what's up and what's really going on. Teachers were telling me things like, yesterday my class enrollment was down. It was less than it was when we were in virtual. That's because a lot of parents are making a decision to not send their kids to school. They want to take a wait and see approach, which I completely understand and respect. We'll see how CPS deals with that in terms of truancy and how strongly they're going to enforce that and deal with it. I wish the best, even though I think that the board made an unscientific decision that was based upon their personal feelings and no real data. And I still believe the board did not want to hear from the parents and did not listen to the teachers union whatsoever. I hope that they're right. I hope they're right. I hope that in a month from now, the conversation is, damn, you know what? Nothing happened. Coast is clear. COVID is receding. We're beating COVID. People are vaccinated. The CPS is fully staffed. I hope that in a month that we're looking at the possibility of going back to 5 days a week, 5 days a week this year or at the beginning of next year. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I hope. But we shall have to wait and see. Again, family, my attitude is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, prepare for your worst. Make sure you're modeling and doing the healthy thing inside your family to get that natural immunity up. Stay as strong as you possibly can. Stay away from the fucking sugar. The sugar will kill you. The sugar will kill you. Stay away from white sugar. Among other things, it will destroy your natural immunity system. You don't want that to happen during a global pandemic. All right. So there's some things that we can do. But again, I've been talking with guests, my listeners. Let's go straight back to the phones. I want to hear let's go straight back to your comments. I want to hear what you have to say. Let me see. Brenda writes, good morning from Fairfield. Good morning to you. April writes, natural energy. Jared writes, self-assessment is major. It is, Jared, because I'll be honest with you, man. I thought I was doing a self-assessment. But as I said earlier, I'm looking at myself as my younger self. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not that person anymore. I have to look at myself for who I am. Take a real good look at myself and be honest with what I see in the mirror and be honest about what I'm feeling. If you're just tuning in, I'm here to share my testimony. And my testimony is I nearly died 1 year ago today. 1 year ago today, my wife put out a Facebook post saying that, Nathan's not going to be on today. Keep it in your prayers. I wasn't trying to press any buttons, but I feel so deeply. I'm so committed into what I do. It's a part of my life. I make it up. Doing this show with CDM is, right below my family is at the top of the list of what I do and what I think about on a daily basis. And so not doing one show is a big deal to me. It's not a small matter. It's a real big deal. And so, when she put that out there, I'm in the hospital, y'all, halfway thinking, okay, they're going to give me something. I'm going to jump back up and, maybe I can finish the show for the people. This is what I'm thinking, sitting here with a nearly 100% blockage in your heart. Now, what does that feel like? What it feels like is, to be honest with you, in the months leading up to it, I did feel things. I was feeling differently. I was having chest pains, but I disregarded it. I told myself, well, it's probably this. It's probably that. I'll just do this. I'll just do that. And I'll turn around really quickly. And depending on where you are in your health, you can do that. And depending on where you are with your health, sometimes you cannot. So just making sure you're listening to the doctors, making sure you're taking whatever medicine, and making sure you're exercising and changing your diet and doing things in moderation. There's people out there that's listening right now that are super, super addicted to sugar. Like Daryl just said, sugar is addictive. Yeah, that's how they made it. Your body will crave it, but you can beat it. You can beat it. And there's some things you can do. Like I said, get yourself some monk fruit, M-O-N-K fruit, M-O-N-K fruit. Now, you don't want to abuse that either, but you're not going to have nearly the negative side effects that you have with white sugar. Some people have to have sugar in their coffee and your tea. There are some things that you can do that will be an alternative that will be far better for your body, or should I say, have far less of a negative impact on your body, depending on what we're talking about. Again, if you want more detail, because I don't think this is the right spot to do it, hit me up with a DM. I will respond because I want you to be healthy. I want you to be healthy. Danita writes, good morning. It's a wonderful Wednesday. Oh, yes, it is. It's a wonderful Wednesday. Sean writes, much appreciated, fam. Thank you for sharing your story, brother. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I already know if I'm dealing with this, then more than likely there's people in the audience that are dealing with it as well. And you can beat it. You are supreme over your body. Take control. Take control. Oh, you're going to have some cravings and you're going to have some setbacks. Cool. It's all part of the game. Stay on that grind. You can change your body. You can change your life in a year. You can change your life radically in a year. See, Brooke writes, bro, if you had an open-minded palate, Ethiopian food has amazing tasting vegetarian, vegan, plant-based food. I do. I'm open to it. I'm open to it. You know, I see some of my friends and some of the choppers are into a plant-based diet, and sometimes they post stuff on Facebook. I'm like, ooh, what's this? I might even hit them with a DM like, you know, can you share the recipe with me? And it becomes fun, quite honestly. Like when you start eating healthy and doing more plant-based, it becomes fun to like come up with different recipes so you can still get great tasting food that has a great impact to your body. I feel 100% different. I feel it's a 180-degree different. I can't tell you how much better I feel, but I can't tell you that I felt like I felt so bad a year ago because I didn't. It's just amazing how the human mind works. How your mind can become accustomed to almost any scenario, including a bad scenario, right? Your mind can become accustomed to it, but see, you have to train your mind and you reign supreme in your body. You control you, nothing else. You control you. Deborah writes, good morning, Nate. Good morning to you. Dale writes, no alcohol for me except occasional glass of wine. Yeah, I get it. Alcohol was never something I did. I drank beer and wine from time to time. We have a little bottle every once in a while in the house. It was cool. I don't need alcohol. At this point, I don't think I'll ever drink another thing in my life. I was never a big alcohol person to begin with. That was never my thing. I'm like, I could take it or leave it. So abandoning alcohol is easy. And alcohol is sugar. You want to raise your blood pressure? Keep drinking alcohol. You want to get diabetes? Keep getting alcohol. If you want to lead to a stroke? Keep drinking alcohol. You want to get a heart attack? Keep drinking alcohol. That's all you got to do. It'll take you straight out the game. That's what happened with brother Doom, MF Doom. Alcoholism took him out the game. MF Doom, one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time, in my opinion. That brother had a super unique style. Super unique style. You go back and listen to some MF Doom. It's like, what is this? Just some old crazy beats, crazy flow, and just a crazy shtick, man. I was a big fan of him. Dale writes, plenty of water and sleep are essential. Yes, they are. Water is the only liquid that you need to drink. You don't need anything else. Just drink water. That's all you need. That should be the basis of whatever you drink. You don't need some damn fruit drinks. You don't need no damn Gatorade. All you need is water. That's it. Angela writes, thank you. Almost definitely. Akeem is in the house. He writes, morning, diet is everything. Made that assessment in 2009. Sugar is a hell of a drug. Stay the course. Sugar is killing so many of us. Let me talk about the Black community where diabetes is high. Cardiovascular disease is high. High blood pressure is high. Now, some of that is pre-genetic disposition. Some of that is environment. But a lot of that is the food. A lot of it is the fried food. Have I had any fried food? I can't remember. I think I had some okra that was fried last year, but I fried it in avocado oil. And again, not all avocado oil is the same. Avocado oil is the only oil I cook with, 100% organic. It's pricey, but it's worth it. And it's actually heart healthy. It's actually good for you. And you can drizzle it on a salad. It's really good for you. And then I used some different flour. It wasn't like wheat flour. It was almond flour. So that was the last fried food that I had. I fried it myself, got a recipe. It was dope. Chicken wings, unless there's an apocalypse, nope. I'm done with it. I had enough. Jessica writes, yes, diagnosed type 1 diabetic 2.5 years ago. Eat a low-carb paleo diet, diabetes in great control, very little insulin required. Everything I put in my mouth is thought out and real food. She sounds like a very smart woman. She sounds like, and the other thing I do is I don't eat all day. I eat within a window during the day. It's usually no more than a 6-hour window. Usually I keep it at 4 hours, and that's it. And what does that do for your body? Well, it's a myth that you got to have 3 meals a day. That's a big myth. And if your body is preoccupied with digestion all day, then it can't do self-maintenance and self-healing. So what I found is very useful is you narrow down the time frame in which you eat. You don't have to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't have to. Your body will be far more efficient if you narrow it down to a window and just eat within that window. You can get all your calories in, and then your body can do other things like self-maintenance and repair, right? There's small little things you can do. Let me see. Janice writes, all natural high is the greatest of all. Mental clarity. I agree with you 100%. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan and all. Good morning to you. Sean writes, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. I agree. Steve Mack writes, what's good? Everything, fam. Everything is good. How you doing? Marcia writes, good morning. Good to see you. Rick Jeanette writes, good morning, Ain't Choppers family. Sending Diva sunshine your way for a phenomenal day. I'm all about that. I love that. Let me soak it in. I need it. It's a beautiful Wednesday. I lead it. Hey, Brian's in the house. Good morning to you, B. Good to see you. Letty writes, great morning, Nathan, Ivy, and the Choppers. Blessing to you all. Good to see you. Mason Marler writes, Rackham. Ray writes, the shadow government goes back to at least Charlie Boy Lucan. Where is Sharon Coolidge I-Team investigation on him and his dealings? CG Dub writes, just throw the whole city council away. Yeah, the shadow government is still there. The shadow government is still there. It ain't going nowhere. Marie writes, you can still have vegan soul food. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. FG writes, everything in moderation. You're right about that, FG, except for alcohol, sugar, what you do to your lungs. I know a lot of people like marijuana. Enjoy your marijuana. But you might want to look into some other things like edibles, right? When it becomes recreationally legal. Okay, I only want you to do what's legal. I'm not espousing or promoting anything that's illegal, only if it's legal wherever you live at. Okay. But I got no problem with it. Grows from the earth is God's medicine, depending on how you use it. April writes, I use my son's Elmo potty in the house, but it's working until I get back outside. Deshauna writes, I walk an average of 17 miles a day. What? I love, whoa, you getting it in. You're getting, they say, what, 10,000 steps a day? You're getting it in. And see, that's what people don't understand. All you got to do is walk. That's all you really got to do is get that walk on. Even if you don't hit the weights, just walking every single day and then changing your diet, you will lose weight. You don't have to hit no weights. Now, I do a whole full body thing because I want to be as strong as possible and ready for any scenario. You know what I'm saying? Plus, the wifey loves it. But you don't have to. You can lose weight just walking every day, changing your diet, eat within, let's say, a 6-hour window. Start right there. The pounds are gonna drop off for you. Watch. You won't believe how fast they drop off. Darlene writes, hey, Nate, good morning. I just finished a 14-day fast. No bread, no sugar, no meat, down 10 points. Blood pressure 133 over 65 down. BS down, blood sugar down 110, feeling good. Journaling about what I eat. I hear you. Hey, what's up, Darlene? She putting it in. I love it. That is beautiful. Janice writes, sometimes athletes develop enlarged hearts. Right. Absolutely. Dominique writes, what's up, Nate? What's up with you? Brian writes, thanks for the motivation this morning, Nate. Walking more and more. Thank you, brother. I'm glad to hear that. Your family, that beautiful family you got, they're gonna love it because you're gonna be around, but you're gonna be around healthier. My kids deserve the healthiest dad possible. You know what I'm saying? My son needs that. He's 6 years old right now. He's 12 years away from being a so-called grown up at 18. And he needs me to be my absolute strongest self. My wife needs me to be my absolute strong self. The strongest I can possibly be. That's what she deserves. So that's what I'm going to give him. You know, and if I got to make a few sacrifices, then it's actually relatively easy at this point. I still get those cravings though. Like I was in a grocery store, and it's so funny because I don't even go down the same aisles that I used to. Anybody? Can you feel me on that? I don't even go down some of the same aisles. And when I do, I don't look at the same shelves. I'm looking at different stuff. And so I was in a grocery store, I don't know, maybe about a month or two ago, and I felt like this real strong craving to go to a certain aisle where I used to go. And I didn't do it. But it's funny how the brain works. We're nothing more than creatures of routine. Toya is in the house. She writes, cardiovascular disease in Black women is fatal. Self-awareness of factors and habits is critical. Taking that first step to change is difficult, but necessary. It is difficult. It is difficult. It was easy for me because it was life or death. It is difficult, and I acknowledge that. Let's move on here. There's some more things I want to bring up to you. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about getting to the bag, shall we? Let's talk about, because a lot of people in my circle and a lot of people I know are waiting to see if the Democrats and the Joe Biden administration are going to come through with a check. And from what I'm reading it, so number one, the Democrats and Joe Biden need to do something big. Whatever the campaign promises were, that's what they need to do. Joe Biden went down to Georgia and he campaigned and said that if Warnock and Ossoff were elected, then by they, he means the Democrats are going to deliver $2,000 stimulus checks. Well, then that's what exactly they need to do. The Republicans are trying to shut this down. But there is something called budget reconciliation, which is a tactic that can be used once per budget cycle, which is once per year. Now, because last year the Senate didn't use it, the Democrats have an opportunity to use something called budget reconciliation twice, not three times, but twice. And what this will allow the Democrats to do is to pass something through the United States Senate with a simple majority vote. And if all of the Democrats vote for it, and if all of the Democrats vote against it, that means that Kamala Harris, the vice president, will come down and she will break the tie. So it's all on the Democrats. If they can keep their coalition together, they can keep the Democrat Senate caucus together, they can pass whatever the fuck they want to pass without any Republican votes. And I would say that that's what they need to do. They need to deliver the checks. Why? Because they said they were going to do it. And they need to be able to come before the American people in 2022 when midterm elections are up and say, listen, we told you we were going to do this and we did it. Right now, the Republicans are trying to make a compromise. And last week, they offered up a plan that would deliver $1,000 checks per adult. That's not what you said. You said $2,000. What it looks like is it's going to end up being about a $1,400 check. So if you add the $600 that was passed in the tail end of the Trump administration, and you add $1,400 to it, that'll be $2,000. I'm in favor of $2,000 across the board. It's funny how you're getting all this information now about how the American people don't need more money. It's just amazing to me. The American people don't need more money. I'm reading from the Washington Post. White House open to narrowing who qualifies for stimulus checks, but keeping payments at $1,400 per person. So that means that they may narrow who is eligible. So if I remember correctly, the last round of stimulus for, I think the threshold for, and correct me if I'm wrong, family, but I believe that the threshold for eligibility for the full amount of the check was $195,000 for a couple. So if you made less as a couple, $195,000, and that made you eligible for the check. And so by narrowing it, what they're trying to say is that they want to lower that bar. So let's say hypothetically, and this is not based upon anything I've read, that hypothetically they may say, listen, then you might as a couple, if you want to be eligible for the full $1,400, then you can't make more than $150,000, because there's a big conversation going on right now about who really needs the money. And I think it's just so funny because when the Republicans were talking about cutting taxes across the board for all rich people, no matter how rich they were, we didn't hear these conversations. Or we heard them, but they weren't as loudly being amplified by the media. Okay. They weren't as loudly being amplified by the media. But now all of a sudden I'm reading all these studies suggestion that the middle class didn't really use the money and people just don't need more money. This is the most ridiculous I've ever heard in my life. Release the checks. People are losing their jobs. People are on the making life and death and life and bills decisions. Of course they need the money. I don't care if people take the money and then put it into an investment. So what? Good for them and their families, but release the check. I'm reading an analysis from The Hill. 73% of Biden's proposed stimulus checks will go to savings. And what's your point? Let it go to the savings then. And what happened to all the money that the rich people saved from not paying taxes? It went to their savings. So why is it okay for super wealthy people to get tax relief and or save more of their money for savings, but it's not okay for the working class to get money and put it in savings? There's people out there that want you to be a debt slave. They want you to be living hand over fist. They want you to be desperate, because when you're desperate, it makes you more pliable. That means you're going to put up with more shit on your job. That means you're desperate when you go to your job. Anything they tell you to do, you got to do it. No matter what the attitude of your boss or whoever, you got to deal with it because you need that money. The hell? The people need relief. Release the money. Simple as that. And if Biden doesn't do it, then the Democrats are going to pay in 2022. Simple as that. April writes, what you put in your body will affect your mind 100%. 100%. My brain works so much better now. It works so much better. I didn't realize it until looking back. You just don't know. You just don't know. See, Michael writes, Toy Smith, morning fam, stay healthy and safe, and stay safe and healthy, if I can get it all out. Anthony writes, exactly. We don't do a survey, but a couple letters or emails, and that's good, right? You talking about Eve Bolton? Eve Bolton didn't make a lot of sense. I appreciate her time, but she was just talking out of both sides of her mouth. So it blew me away when she said that even if they did a survey, see, now I know why they didn't do a survey. The reason why the school board didn't push for a survey is because they didn't want to. It would have been inconvenient. Just imagine that the school board pushes the administration to use POSIP to do a survey. Brand new tool. Okay. So, CPS is sending you all kind of messages about dumb shit. I'm getting all kind of emails about the next time they're doing a potluck and all kind of extracurricular activities. Here we are dealing with life and death decisions, and you don't survey the parents. It's because they didn't want to survey the parents. They didn't want to hear what you had to say. Because if 80 or higher than that percentage of the parents in the survey came back and said, hey, we don't want you to go back to school, it would have made what they were going to do anyway even more difficult to explain. So that's why they didn't do it. It blows my mind that Eve Bolton on one hand can say that she cares about, so when people send her emails, that impacts her. But if the school board and the superintendent and the school district does a survey, we can't trust that. What? Dumb shit. I couldn't believe she said that. It was amazing to me. It made no sense whatsoever. So you get a couple dozen emails. That's a representation of how the parents feel. But you get a couple thousand respondents to a survey and, we can't really trust it. It just goes to show you what we already knew, is that they arrived at this decision last year, and that's what they wanted to do, because in the minds of the school board, which in my opinion, I wonder if they're all in their little bubbles, they've got something in mind that's more important than public health. And again, I hope that they're right. At this point, I hope that they're right. I hope they're absolutely 100% right. Nothing would make me happier than COVID. We beat COVID. And again, the arrogance of human beings. You talk to a few pediatricians at Children's Hospital. Oh, you got it all figured out. You got it all figured out because you talked to some pediatricians at Children's Hospital. Great. So I hope they're correct for everybody's sake. That'd be great. Tiff writes, morning all. Good morning to you. Dale writes, evasive answers by most school board members. Transparency is definitely not their strong suit. No, it's not. No, it's not. Hold on 1 second here. Hey, good morning to you, Walter. Good morning to you. I got this from a teacher. Most students' attendance went down when my school went to the blended model. The board members are not telling the truth about student attendance. I know they weren't telling the truth. That's from a CPS teacher. I know they weren't telling the truth. I know it. I appreciate them coming on because you can't make somebody tell you the truth. All you can do is analyze what they're saying. And like I said, I mean, across the board, it was very disappointing. I respect their time. I respect their candor. I don't respect their logic. I don't respect their methodology. And again, I'm going to reach out to Julie Sellers again, and I want her to hear what Eve Bolton had to say because somebody is not telling the truth, and I want to get to the bottom of it. So who's telling the truth? Eve Bolton said it's an absolute lie that the school board didn't reach out to try to get, the thoughts of the teachers. And then the teacher unit saying to the point where they actually filed a legal grievance the first time in 10 years that it was a breach of their contract, in their opinion, because they did not get the communication that they had been enjoying up to this point. So somebody's lying. I want to know who. Either Eve Bolton was playing word salad and lying to us, trying to misinform us, or Julie Sellers is. And the teachers, because a lot of teachers hit me up. They were in the stream yesterday. I already told you who I believe. And it says something. You know, you have to make your decision as to how you feel about it. But let me move on. 513-873-7134. Let me talk about some things that probably are not on your radar screen, but I want to talk about them nonetheless. PBS is going to release a documentary on the Tulsa race massacre. It's called Tulsa, the Fire and the Forgotten. It's not going to show until later this year in May, but I want to put that on your radar screen because, I remember going to public school and I never learned about the race massacres that happened in this country. I never learned about them until I became an adult and started doing my own education. I didn't even learn about them in college. I didn't learn about the race massacres in this country until I was an adult. And I think it speaks to the miseducation of the general public, in general. But I want to put that on your radar screen because I think it's very, very important. I'm going to make sure that my children watch this. I think it's very, very important that everybody gets a chance to watch this. Okay, I think it's very, very important. And larger than just Tulsa, I think it's important to have a good history of everything that's happened in terms of the racial tensions and racial violence in this country, and then to connect the dots all the way to what we saw last year at the U.S. Capitol. I think that's very, very important. Or this year at the U.S. Capitol. I think it's very, very important. I think all the schools should be doing that. Don't just talk about what happened in the Capitol. Connect what happened to the Capitol or in the Capitol to the history of angry white violence when Black people start to, show some excellence. That's what it is. I mean, it's called it what it is. I'm just being real with you. 100%. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. Couple other things before we leave. I mean, these may or may not be that important to you. Did anybody see the video of a 9-year-old little girl, a little brown girl, who was put in handcuffs and arrested by a Rochester police officer? Have you been following this story? I typically follow these kind of things, and we play the videos because I think it's important for the public education to know what's going on. Let me see if I can get this for you. Yeah, I think I can. This is This is just not good. So apparently she was having a mental health episode and she came across an officer who happened to be a white officer, and he ends up putting her under arrest, and then she ended up getting, I believe, pepper sprayed. It was a whole big deal. Did you see this? And I'm thinking to myself, why does a grown man need to pepper spray a 9-year-old? She was 9 years old. Well, Mayor Lovely Warren has now suspended that officer, saying that the officer in that video has now gone viral, went too far. It was all caught on body cam. Shout out to body cam, right? So important to have that body cam on so we can get an objective viewpoint as to what's going on. It doesn't tell you the whole story in some cases, and it's important to make sure it's on at all times, but it goes a long way. Here's what the police chief said about the situation. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that for a 9-year-old to have to be pepper sprayed is okay. It's not. I don't see that as who we are as a department, and we're going to have to ensure that these kinds of things don't happen. That's from the police chief named Cynthia Harriott Sullivan. And I watched the video. Would you like to see it? I can't play it for you. It is graphic in the sense that you're seeing a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old. And there was a lot of feelings about this. At some point, the officer screams at the child who was being uncooperative, for lack of a better term, and he says to the child, "You're acting like a child." The 9-year-old responds, "I am a child." Yeah. And I don't know if you would call that a tough situation for a member of law enforcement to be involved in. It's very deeply disturbing, but why use pepper spray on a child? Like, pepper spray can be lethal. And I think that's where it went a little too far for most people. At some point, the child was handcuffed. It appeared to be face down in the snow right outside the police cruiser because the officer was trying to put the child in the police cruiser, and the child didn't want to go to the police cruiser. I mean, it's just a big, bad situation. But pepper spraying a child, this kind of reminds me of what happened here with that police officer who, in my opinion, should not be on the force anymore. I know that the officer is still on the force. Remember that happened over here at the Kennard Kroger, where you had this little girl that stole $51 worth of stuff. And then the officer was trying to get her to stop, so he tasered a child. And then you had people like Fame, hate to call you out, brother, but you put yourself in that position. They called into this show making excuses for the officer. You're talking about a child. I mean, let her go. Catch her later. I mean, if she walked to the Kennard Kroger store, chances are she lives pretty close. You'll probably catch up with her later. And it cost the city and the taxpayers a lot of money. What was it, $100,000, $200,000 it cost us because of the bad decisions of that officer? Just not a good look at all. Rick Jeanette writes, what's the point of having an election when we know everyone isn't going to vote? Same thing. Sandra writes, good morning to you, Sandra. Morning, Nathan Ivy. Thanks for the flow. Praying for our kids. The teachers, please stay well. Absolutely. Malcolm writes, we need our own school system. We've integrated into a burning building. JD writes, I told y'all it was time to get rid of Eve. Been saying it for years. She doesn't care about our people. Well, JD has been saying that. You have. And remember Marlena Brookfield? Remember her? And she brought up Eve Bolton. And from what I was not happy by the responses of the school board members and the attitude they took. I mean, let's go back to Carolyn Jones. Carolyn Jones, at some point, I'm asking her realistic, very clear questions, and she's talking about I'm trying to bait her. Huh? I'm trying to bait you by questioning your logic? No, sis, I'm not trying to bait you. I'm asking you straight up questions. Now, they might be difficult because it challenges your decision. It might challenge your critical thinking. It might challenge what you're saying, but that ain't baiting you. When I hear people say, oh, you're trying to bait me or do gotcha, that tells me that I'm getting close to the target and they just don't like it. Remember that? I thought it was quite interesting. Eric writes, teachers are not experts on COVID or its spread. They're comparing apples to oranges. Yeah, Eric, But teachers are experts of their scenario, just like police officers are experts of their scenario, Eric. Like when it comes to law enforcement, the politicians and the public, we stand back and we realize that they know better about what's safe for their environment than we do. When it comes to teachers, everybody knows better than the teachers who are actually in the school building, Eric. So that's the point I was trying to make. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. What's up, Brother Drop?
Nothing much, Mr. Ivy. Black Not Democrat podcast just dropped an episode this morning on Spreaker, on Anchor. 24 minutes, Mr. Ivy. I'm getting the hang of this thing. But anyway, the reason I called, sir, is that you mentioned it a few minutes ago about the Democrats are possibly or more than likely going to use the reconciliation to pass the 1.9 trillion stimulus package, or let me rephrase that, the COVID relief package. And I could tell in your voice, Mr. Ivy, that you're starting to detect an Obama-Biden remix because they're blowing smoke up the booty hole of all you Black Democrats who voted for Sleepy Joe and Kamala I'm Black Y'all Harris, because they're doing it again. This administration is no different than the Obama administration. Mr. Ivy, you know as well as I do, they could go way bigger than the 1.9 trillion. They're telling everybody they don't need Republicans to pass things. They can use reconciliation to not only pass the COVID relief, bail out the blue cities and the blue states who were doing certain things over the summer and allowed their cities to be burned to the ground. They're going to get the money. The American people are the ones who are going to get stuck again because we ain't getting the 2 Gs. We should be getting 5 Gs. And Mr. Ivy, Black Democrats like Glenn from Mason, the host of the Politically Petty podcast show, you better start dancing for these desperate Democrats because Black people are going to be highly upset. And if you remember the speech from Barack Hussein Obama in 2011, after he lost the House of Representatives in 2010 midterm, when he passed Obamacare, Joe Biden is about to do the same thing. And he better go get that speech that Obama read to the Congressional Black Caucus that started off with, stop complaining, stop crying, because we're going to press on, because we got work to do. So get ready, Sleepy Joe and Kamala I'm Black Y'all Harris. Either call Barack or just get that speech, because it's getting ready to be a whole bunch of pissed off Black people. That's all I got.
Hold on, Drop. You're being slightly, really, well, a little bit more than slightly hypocritical.
Why is that, sir?
Well, because you in here talking about how the Democrats should go big and that's what the American people deserve, right?
Yes, Joe Biden is my
but what you're not
president,
doing
too.
is criticizing your party, the Republican Party, because they're trying to go small.
The Republican Party is not in
The
power,
Republican
Mr.
Party
Ivy.
is trying to go small with the COVID relief package. What they offered was $1,000, which is less than $1,400. That's what the Democrats are trying to get behind. Some Democrats are trying to do $2,000 a month. The more progressive Democrats.
Right,
but your party, sir, your party, and this is why you're a hypocrite, because you didn't criticize them. Your party is saying that the people don't need relief, that the people don't need $2,000. I don't hear you saying anything about that whatsoever.
Well, okay, first of all, you're taking it out of context. What's going on in the House of in the Senate right now with this bill? You are not reading what's in the bill, Mr. Ivy. All the Republican Party, who's in the minority now, well, actually, it's a tie, but the Democrat Party is in control right now. Okay, the $1.9 trillion is way more than what's related to COVID-19. What the Republicans are saying is separate the 2 or 3 or 4 different things that are in this package and just pass the relief for the American people. That's what the problem is, because the Democrats, they can use reconciliation again But just like Obama did in 2009, Joe Biden's going to mess it up, because if they use reconciliation and they don't give reparations or get something in that package that's specifically for Black people, just like there's things specifically for illegal immigrants, for asylum seekers and migrants coming from Central America to this country because Joe Biden said, come on in. So again, Mr. Ivey, you can call me a hypocrite all you want, because I ain't letting nothing slide for Joe Biden, because you're in power now. When you're in power, you better act different than when you're out of power. So any more questions, sir? Because
I mean, you're still a hypocrite because you didn't call it the Republican Party for playing it down.
Okay,
then you tried to change the conversation a bit. But you know what, you saying Black, not Democrat. You know, I think what would be more timely would be Black, not partisan. Black, not Democrat or Republican. You know what I'm saying? Because you keep pressing the Republican Party like that's some kind of viable option for Black folks, and I don't see it. But you do, you brother.
Well, again, Mr. Ivey, I haven't been a Democrat since 1988, but I am Black, and I will be Black for the rest of my life.
And you are Republican.
Okay? So I'm first I'm Black,
but you are Republican.
Then I'm an American. First I'm Black, then I'm an American, and then I vote for the Republican Party in that order. Okay, so it's nothing I can do when my party is not in the White House or have control of both houses of Congress. This is on the Democrat Party again.
Yeah, but when you were saying the same thing, Drop. Your tune hasn't changed at all. When the Republicans had control, you were saying the same thing you are now. You focus on the Democrats and holding them responsible to the Black voters, but you don't do it with the Republican Party, brother. You just don't. You will not.
Mr. Ivey, you need to quit. How many Black people vote Republican?
Not the issue.
How many? It is the issue.
It's not the issue.
It is the issue. It's about the numbers, Mr. Ivey.
It's not about the numbers. My flow is about you, sir. It's about you and your unwillingness to hold the Republican Party, your party, responsible to Black voters. That's what my issue is.
My party has been responsible to the few Black voters who have the guts to lead the desperate Democrat Party. 19% of Black male voters voted Republican in 2020. 9% of Black female SBW, strong Black women, voted Republican, Mr. Ivey. So you can call me a hypocrite all you want. I'm waiting for you to call the Democrat Party and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who out here Kamala Harris out here telling people in West Virginia. She had the audacity to go to West Virginia, where Joe Manchin is the senator, and trying to tell coal miners they need to go dig up some land mines. What is wrong with this woman? And she's supposed to be the next president? So you can call me a hypocrite. You can hold me accountable when I call in as a caller. But I'm telling you right now, Mr. Ivey, Black media is starting to bubble up, because they're starting to see this is nothing more than the Obama-Biden remix. And on that note, Mr. Ivey, like I always say, desperate Democrats, stay woke. Drop Squad 52, Black Not Democrat, dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it.
Appreciate you, brother. That's Black Not Democrat. Again, I think it would be far more intelligent, in my opinion, and far more timely if it was Black Not Partisan. Now, that makes sense. That makes sense. But it also, I understand what he's saying, because the majority of Black people registered with the Democrat Party, so I get that. But I mean, he keeps trying to push the Republican Party. So where's the tangibles? Trump was in office for 4 years and never had anything to say or did anything specifically policy-wise, never brought any kind of policy that would specifically do anything for Black folks. And they had a Senate majority. They were too busy denying the CBC Congressional Black Caucus Black agenda that died on the desk of Mitch McConnell. So now that the Democrats are in office, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. But I mean, I hear you, brother. I mean, we'll see how that works for you. Brian writes, the research is very clear. Schools aren't safe in the pandemic. Let's say schools were safe. Let's say their claims that the community is the spreader and not schools. Kids go back to the community, then go back to the school and spread it. That's why general levels matter. That's why the students are saying a crucial element of the schools being safe is overall infection rates outside of school. And we know 1 in 3 in Ohio are now infected. Brian, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. April writes, if it were uniform, book bags, school supplies, or free food, I'm sure everyone would know about it. I'm not knocking anyone or any race, but it's the truth. Eric writes, it's unacceptable that we didn't have receipts, but the information is certainly out there. Crystal writes, and good to see you, Crystal. So true. We don't kick up dust for real out here. No, we don't. No, we don't. You know, it's just people in Cincinnati just don't have that kind of, and I'm speaking generally because some people do, but generally speaking, people get outraged and then they go right back to their life. They keep it Cincinnati polite. They keep everything even. And it becomes like a coping mechanism and maybe a survival mechanism as well. To live in the city of Cincinnati. But again, what I hope is that, because again, I have skin in the game, I have children, and a lot of people who I care about that work for CPS and work inside these school buildings. I hope that we are on seeing the trends go down with COVID. I don't ever want to see purple again, and I can't wait till we get out of the red. I hope the coast is clear. I hope these new variants from UK and South America and South Africa or wherever else, I hope that they don't touch us here in the tri-state area, in particular Hamilton County and Cincinnati. That's what I hope. We'll see. We'll see. Let me see here. A few more questions or comments before we roll. Bell writes, hello, viewers. I want to testify to you all how my HIV was cured. Whoa, what's that? What's up, Bell Liz? Not sure if that's is that spam right there. April writes, we have to take responsibility at some point, Nate. These people have been doing them for years. When it affects them, they act. It's history, and we're going to keep talking their ish until we as a whole change. She right about that. Eric writes, we're going to retard our growth if we don't keep our kids in school. Our kids already have strikes against them. Adding lack of education is a death blow. I think that you're overlooking the fact that education and learning is taking place right now. Eric, you're overlooking that. Like, kids are learning right now. Okay. And then when they go back into school, people keep talking about the social and emotional well-being. The kids are not supposed to be touching each other anyway. They're not supposed to be touching one another anyway. They're not supposed to be having close contact anyway. That's why they're saying 6 feet. So this idea that just because you're in a school building means that now you're going to be touching and hugging on people, they're not supposed to be doing it. That's not what's supposed to be happening. But we shall see. I hope for the best. Hope for the absolute best. Nat writes, Landsman is politically motivated at rest, as the rest. Good morning, TNT writes. She writes exactly. Tamika writes, PG was talking trash about Mrs. Smitherman, saying she was faking her illness. Okay. Cam writes, good morning. Good morning to you, Cam. Janice writes, we are all born to die. Absolutely. I don't remember that. Just send me a link. I mean, I'm open to be corrected. TNT writes, Fox 19, Trisha Mackey. Right. Because we tried to form Voltron on her on Twitter, and she blocked me. Because I had an issue with the fact that they were prostituting the illness of Pamela Smitherman for ratings or to try to score some kind of local political points. And this woman is on her deathbed, and they talking about some damn text messages. And I'm like, I'm just, again, I'm like, I just can't imagine I'm in the middle of losing my wife and I care that much about anything other than my wife and my family. I just can't imagine that. I just know me. I just wouldn't even give it any oxygen whatsoever. I just would just keep going on. I wouldn't give it anything. If it was some dumb ish, I just put it in a dumb ish file and keep on moving. But everybody's different. And as a citizen, as a taxpayer, I have criticized the amount of wasted time that city council members have spent talking about text messages and talking about their personal feelings and who said what and he said, she said. I don't care. That's the kind of stuff they do in high school, yo. They do that in high school. We're talking about grown people that's supposed to be doing the business of the city, of the taxpayers. And I still can't understand why this is, for a lot of people, this is seen as acceptable behavior. This is acceptable behavior. To go on and on and on about some text messages that have no consequence, talking about who said what and whether you agree with what was going on and you think it was legitimate. Who cares? Why is this relevant? Why? I don't get it. You know, it makes no sense. Why does that matter to me as a taxpayer about who said what about whose wife, whether they were passing away or sick or whatever? Why does that matter? That's city business now? That sounds like personal issues. And if it's personal, then it's on your off time, not doing law and public safety or doing counsel, on your off days, then send him a letter or go get at his ass. You got a problem with him, go check his ass. Go check him. Go handle that business. But to me, when you're down there in city council and these committees, you're supposed to be handling the people's business, not talking about your personal feelings. I don't care what nobody thinks about it. That's not why we voted for you, if in fact you voted for these individuals. You might not have. Am I wrong in that? What am I missing? Let's go back to the phones. One last call before we roll. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
I was waiting for you to say, is it just me?
Is it just me?
Right. I said every time I say that on my show, Nate, I'm going to put a $1 in the tip jar. Go to the Donnie B. Is it just me, fine? Because I can see myself saying it. But you're absolutely right, Nate. And what gets me is that I want to go back to Drop's call. And right now I'm watching how Biden and the Democrats, the Senate Democrats, are getting ready to pass this bill. But to go back to what you were just saying, it makes you wonder, what is the motivation? Because A, you're no longer, or you haven't decided if you're going to run for mayor. Your main rival is out of city council and under federal indictment. So what is the extra motivation? Is there some type of deflection going on? Because, I don't know, there's another shooter drop somewhere down the road. I think Daryl or someone brought it up in the live chat. Where is Hot Tab Cranley's text messages and phone? We never got to the bottom of that. There are forensic people that can go back and find these messages. We know that, given what happened with the Gang of Five. I mean, am I lying or flying, Nate?
We fly high.
I mean, and but let's get to the moment at hand. Oh, Drop Squad 52. And I kind of addressed this yesterday on a Politically Petty Show podcast. We're talking about unity and all of a sudden now we got to come together and kumbaya. I call it have a big Botham John moment where we're going to hug it out. When the Republicans had the House and the Senate and the presidency, they spent more time trying to take health care away from people than give $5,000 checks that all of a sudden drop and the Candace Owens and the Diamond and Silks and the Concrete and Cox's ones right now. All of a sudden now they're talking about reparations when he was grabbing them by the pee and talking about very fine people in Charlottesville. Get the hell out of here, Drop Squad 52. You got to be kidding me. So, Nate, I want you to keep that same energy you have, and I'm going to keep the same energy I have behind pushing the Democrats to do exactly what you say, those tangibles that you talk about. But let me be your first to say, I'm kind of okay with getting kids that are separated from their parents the last 4 years, getting them back together like right now. I say that as a father. I'm kind of okay with dropping whatever that separation policy that they had the last 4 years under racist ass Stephen Miller right now, as opposed to what we were doing before. Put it this way. Whatever policy we had before that didn't separate kids from the damn parents, I'm with that. Get that out of here. Now, the $2,000 check, Nate, is corrective. It was $2,000 from the very beginning. It was a Republican Party drop. When they were in charge, they only wanted to give out immediately $600. Matter of fact, the package that's supposed to Susan Collins, and I guess it's a gang of 10 now Republicans, they wanted to give half of them $1.9 trillion, Nate. See, Drop is not going to tell you these things, folks, but I'm going to tell you. Nate, I just wanted to get that out there. Like I said, I'm in the lab, man. The only thing I did was just take off my headphones so I can give you a call, brother.
I love it, man. Looking forward to it. You already
you
know.
Have a good one. Okay, I appreciate you letting me have my voice, man. And hey, you have a good one. What is it? Tuesday, Wednesday? I'm losing my track of time.
It's Wednesday.
Okay, so there we go. Hey, you have a good one, man. And like I said, people be ready for Politically Petty. I'm out.
I love it, man. Get ready for Politically Petty. It's coming soon to CDM. Again, if you are a content creator or creative and you've thought about doing a podcast, you may have a podcast or a live stream show. Maybe we can work together in a way that's mutually beneficial. If you are an audio editor or video editor or a graphic artist, or you've got some type of skill in the creative arts, hit me with a DM. Maybe we can work together. If you are an entrepreneur and you've got products and services and you're looking for creative ways in the digital space to connect with your customers and or to create an audience around what you do, I've got a few ideas. Perhaps we could work together. Hit me up with a DM and I will respond ASAP. So with that, I got to make a move, family. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Viva La Chapas. Viva La Chapas. I appreciate the Chapas 100%. I'll be shouting out my patrons starting tomorrow, each individually by name. There's a link. My link tree is in the description of today's podcast, and you can feel free to hit me up with that link. I really appreciate you. Before we roll out of here, we definitely got to get a word in from our sponsor, and that's Otis Wellburn and the Otis Wellburn Experience.
Experience. It's that well-born experience. Well-born. Yeah, that well-born experience. Well-born. That well-born experience. Well-born. Experience. Well-born. Experience. Tell us what you need. That's the question we start with. We specialize selling condos, houses, apartments. Make sure that you happy with your residence. Keep it real, no filter. Otis, the realtor from the nattiest heaven sent. It's the well-born experience. Ain't nothing like it. Every time he talk to his client, he's so excited just knowing he able to put them in a place to lay their head. Not focusing on his profits, but on the client instead. Right. He keeps his own profession knowing from his conversation. You can tell he studies before sharing information. Educated, motivated, ain't nobody better. Who's willing to walk you through every step to relieve the pressure? Relieve the pressure. Yeah. And just so you know it's real, you get a special personalized rug once he closes the deal. So go and call him up so he can get you live. 513-252-1055.
513-252-1055. I talked to Otis, and he is receiving hits from these ads. So these ads do connect with customers. So if you're interested in sponsorship, you can hit me with a DM, and I will respond immediately. Appreciate that, brother. Plus, he spent some time with us yesterday. I like to have him come back on just to share some tips because to my eye and observation experience, property ownership, home ownership is key to that working class wealth building portfolio. So we'll talk more about that in the near future. Have an excellent rest of your day, family. All right. Viva La Chapas. Until next time, I'm Nathan Ivy, and I'm out.
This is the Nathan Ivy Show. Get ready to be engaged.
Nathan Ivy Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivy Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.